if I have any other editing options. When you get in there, give me a comment so I can click on your name in there and make sure that it's doing its thing. Color looks good. Hopefully audio looks good. That's an old stream if it's on replay. Hang on, everybody. We're just getting started. I don't think anybody's quite here yet, but that's okay. Got one person in, though. Oh, it might be on the chat at the top. Sometimes you have to change it to live chat. All right, we got a couple people popping in now. Charles is here. Thank you so much for joining and for being a YouTube channel member. That is greatly appreciated, believe me. And Ryan is here from Idaho. Thank you all so much. We're just dealing with a little bit of background, sort of housekeeping stuff right now. Bear with us. We're going to start the stream here in just a minute. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay, sounds good. That's good. Let me take care of something right quick, everybody. Just bear with me. I gotta check on some stuff. Channel activity, remove as moderator. I could put you in timeout, baby. Yeah, I don't see anything about links or anything like that being blocked or turned off. So, all right. Aloha, Michael. Nice to have you in the chat too. And Shamungus, nice to see you again as well. Hope everybody is having an awesome Sunday. I'm going to go ahead and get a Jolly Rancher. We're going to get this thing started. I got coffee going already too. Coco, good afternoon, and thank you for being a channel member. Camaro, you as well. Nice to see you too. Darren said hi. Kimberly said hi, and hello, everybody. I hope you're all having a great day. I actually have a headache, so I'm hoping that it's going to stay mild and we're able to enjoy the stream together today, but we'll see how it goes as the time progresses. Okay. Got one in the chamber. Ready to go. So tell me about your tanks. How's everything doing, everybody? John, nice to see you, man. Happy to have you here. Chamunga said blue and watermelon are the best. I have those. Well, my wife disagrees. She likes watermelon ones. Oh, wait, you said watermelon. Yeah, she agrees. I don't know how they put so much liquid in a hard Jolly Rancher candy, but they definitely do. So anyway, the tank is looking pretty good. There's a couple of things that I need to adjust with my own tank. Jay is here. Hey, Jay, what's going on, man? Thank you so much for joining and for being a YouTube channel member. That really means a lot. So when I put the Delua light setup on the tank behind me, I set it a little bit high. I was trying to push the par up a little bit, try to give my acros a little more light, and I think I overdid it. So I'm gonna have to back it down just a little bit and double check the par and things like that, because some of my corals are showing some signs of bleaching out a little bit. They're paling just a little bit. So we're gonna have to drop them down and bring that up a little slower over time. So it's gonna be all right though. Did 13 hours of tank maintenance and had your streams. Oh, very cool, man. I appreciate that. 13 hours of tank maintenance is a long time. That's what my Wednesday looks like. It's pretty much all day just doing tank maintenance. So yeah. Let's see. Ginger says, I have a banded crab that is mean. Is this typical? It ate a peppermint shrimp. Banded crab. Can you look up a banded crab? What is a banded crab? Bear with me on that one. Eric says, is it Eric? Yeah, Eric says, I've got the coral snow clouding up to 75. Ah, yes. I do that once a week as well. Once I finish all my tank maintenance and everything, I hit the tank hard with coral snow. I just do the DIY stuff. I make it myself. Red banded coral crab.
Yeah, I wouldn't get anything on that.
All right. But what was I talking about? Oh yeah, DIY coral snow. It's super easy to make. You can get food grade calcium carbonate powder, and you mix 10 flat tablespoons of that with 500 milliliters of RODI water, and boom, you have coral snow. It's exactly the same stuff as all the manufacturers make and sell you for $25 a bottle. You can make it for about 32 cents a bottle if you do it that way. And then you just dose it to the tank to your heart's desire. There's a measurement. It's like 50 milliliters per, no, it's like 10 milliliters per 50 gallons of water volume or something like that. But, you know, it doesn't have to be super specific. It's not going to hurt your parameters or do anything. It actually helps maintain parameters because it takes crap out of the water. So anyway, yeah. Camaro says, since watching your videos, wait a minute. Something went away. Since watching your videos, I've never had a more stable reef tank. Man, I love to hear that. That's awesome. That is the whole point of doing all of this, is to help you guys find more success. How often do you feel you should do a water change? It depends completely on all of the other variables about your tank. This is bugging me. Hang on. There we go. So what your filtration looks like, you know, are you dosing trace elements back to the tank? You know, all of these kinds of things. Do you have the proper amount of nutrient in the tank? Are your nutrients high or are they low? All of these things go into choosing whether or not you need to do a water change on your tank. Generally speaking, just doing routine water changes, either 10% a week, 20% every 2 weeks, or 40% once a month, is sort of a general good guideline for what we could do to help remove nutrients and help add back trace elements and things like that, and reestablish calcium, magnesium, and alkalinity, keeping those where they need to be. So really it comes down to setup. I have so much filtration on this tank behind me, and I'm dosing trace elements, and I'm dosing my main elements as well, that I'm not doing water changes on this 250 gallon system behind me. I haven't done one in many months. I couldn't even tell you how long it's been. But it's because I have a huge refugium on the wall on the other side of the tank in the other room, 40 gallon breeder refugium full of macroalgae and some corals and stuff like that, and a big skimmer, and I'm running filter media baskets with filter floss in them and all that stuff. So my nutrient export is very high. My nutrient input is also very low, and I'm dosing traces and stuff. So I don't have to do water changes right now. I do once a month routine ICP analysis on the tank. So if anything is really out of whack, if any heavy metals are present or anything like that, it shows up in my ICP tests. But that isn't a thing that everybody can just do, you know. So based on all of those other variables, if you have a very simple tank with just a hang on the back filter, or maybe a hang on the back skimmer or something like that, then I would recommend probably doing the water changes. It's going to help with all those things. So it's just situationally dependent. There's several people that I've coached that have a setup that doesn't need water changes, and other people that I have coached in my one-on-one consultations and stuff that you can get to from my website, that I did recommend that they do, you know, weekly water changes and stuff. So it's all just dependent. I have a I have a goldfish. Which other fish should I add with a goldfish as a mate? I'm not really sure. I'm not well versed in freshwater fish keeping. It's I've been doing saltwater for about 28 years, so I haven't really kept up with the freshwater side of things. So honestly, I don't want to say, because I don't really know, to be fair. It's going well, Kevin. Nice to see you here. Oh, a red-banded coral shrimp. Yes, that would make a difference. I was like, I've never heard of that crab, but I don't know everything. So, you know, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt on that one, with it being a crab. Yes, red-banded coral shrimp. Some people call them boxing shrimps, or just simply coral-banded shrimps. They are mean. They will attack other shrimp and eat them. They're territorial, and so on and so forth. They're, you know, now it's always dependent on the individual shrimp. You might get one that's fine, but you also might get one that tears everything else apart. It just depends. But yeah, the coral banded shrimps, they can definitely be mean. Charles says, my biggest question: you do figure out nitrate issues on that member's tank? I think it was Connie. Okay, yeah. Her nitrates were in the 50s. No, last time we spoke, she was still having that nitrate problem. I had recommended that she try dosing Tropic Marin nitrobiotic, if it seems Seems like I remember that's what I had told her to do. We had tried a whole bunch of other stuff and none of that was working. So yeah, but as far as I know, she might even be in the stream today. As far as I know, she hasn't got that problem fixed just yet. Let's see. Changed out my socks for Reef Wave roller mats today. Never seen one running before. Hope I've done it right. Oh, okay. So Darren, be very careful making big swinging changes on your tank before you go, on vacation or something like that. You want enough time there to be able to learn and trust the device. So just be careful with that in the future. Kevin says, nitrite 0, ammonia 0.2, pH 7.6. Okay. So Kevin, did you have a question? You were just saying what you had going on there? All right. So it sounds like the tank may still be trying to establish the nitrogen cycle. Too bad about the simplicity strips. Great honest review. Thank you very much. Thank you for the thorough, non-biased reviews. Yeah, absolutely, man. So listen, here's the thing, right? I'm not opposed to having some sort of a corporate sponsorship. I am trying to make a living doing this. And that is one of the ways that content creators make a living is they partner with brands and get paid to do things. That said, any partnership that I ever do, number one, it'll have a non-exclusivity clause where I'm not locked into only using that brand's products. And also, that brand will understand that if their thing sucks, I'm going to say it sucks. That's just how it is. So far, I have kept that agreement. That's what I have done. I like the pop bloom lighting, but I hate the app. I don't think the arms on the RL180 are amazing. They're very thin. I don't know why they didn't put the big thick arms on the heaviest light that they make. Don't know. But anyway, yeah, I appreciate that you appreciate the honesty, and that means a lot. And those strips, spoiler alert, they're trash. Don't use them. Go watch my video. Yeah. If you overdose calcium, what should you do? Water changes to bring it down over time. If you have a high coral load, you can quit dosing and just let the corals consume it over time. That works too. And it really depends on how high it is. If it's under 600, I probably wouldn't worry about it too much. I would just let nature take its course. If you overdosed it to the point where it's over 600, I would do probably twice a week water changes, about 10%, as long as you have the nitrate phosphate rate numbers high enough that you can do that. I would do that to start bringing it down, once or twice a week and get it back into range. Kevin says, I am fish ready through the cycle. Okay. So I would suspect that your tank should have some nitrate, but that doesn't always happen, especially if you used dead rock to set the tank up. So just do a verification on that ammonia. Make sure that you can take it up to like 1 ppm and it drops back to 0 in 24 hours. If it does, add fish. Matthew says, my pulsing Xenia moved off the frag plug and attached to the rock, and now I am confused. That's just what it does. It's going to move and go, and it can move, but not like an anemone, right? It won't walk to a new place. It will extend its sort of base out and then just shift its whole body over. It's really weird. Or if it touches a rock, like if the base is here and there's a rock here and the trunk comes over and touches this rock, it'll attach here on this rock and then it'll split and it'll be 2 pieces. So yeah, that's just a thing that Xenia does. Sam says, sad. So should I change my fish setup from freshwater to saltwater? I mean, you definitely could if you want to. My recommendation would be go saltwater for sure. It's a lot more intricate and it's a lot more of an interesting hobby to me, in my opinion, than freshwater. A lot of people like freshwater better because it's so much easier. And some aspects of freshwater are similarly difficult to saltwater, keeping discus tanks where the tank has to be near perfect at all times. Those are difficult freshwater tanks, but saltwater kind of starts there and then gets more difficult as you go. The Jakes says, hey, from South Africa. Well, nice to see you here, Jakes. Thank you so much. Sam says, no one wants my goldfish. How can I replace them? I only have one tank. Talk to your local fish store if you have one. See if they'll take the goldfish in for you, and you can, tear your tank down and transition over to saltwater. That's a video that I need to do. Yeah, freshwater to saltwater sort of idea. I need to do a video on that. Maybe one day. Write it down so we can forget that we wrote it down and where. Oh, bean juice. Let's see. As for freshwater, I have 5 mollies that have been acclimated to salt that live in my sump. Yeah, I have some saltwater acclimated mollies as well. Well, I have one left, but yeah, they are super cool fish. I was watching my tank late last night, found I have a 6-inch, maybe possibly bigger bristle worm. At what point should I take it out? I don't generally worry too much about bristle worms. They're excellent cleaners, but some of them can get really huge, and depending on the size of the tank, you may want to take it out. However, bristle worms themselves, now I'm not talking about fireworms here, just bristle worms. All bristle worms are not fireworms, but all fireworms are bristle worms. It works like that. Bristle worms, not fireworms, don't have the mouth parts necessary to like capture and eat a fish or something like that. They can eat detritus and stuff, but their mouth is like really little tiny. Now, fireworms, on the other hand, some species of those do have mouth parts where they could like eat a fish. But I generally don't worry about it. Now, like seahorse tanks and stuff, yes, you don't want any bristle worms in a seahorse tank. But, in a regular tank, I don't worry about it that much. Josh says, new subscriber, you're a cool dude. Been watching your content since you started. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you very much, Josh. I appreciate that. We've been doing this for about over 2 years.
Right about.
Yeah, it's roughly 2 years.
Yeah. The tank was still over on the other side of the house whenever you first started.
Yeah.
And then you had
the whole move and everything. Yeah, it's been about 2 years. And so it's been a long, difficult, but very rewarding journey so far. And we're just now hitting a pivot, and we're going to take this thing to the whole next level. So, all right, Sam, happy you think that, man. Thanks for the plug there. Appreciate that. Eric says, I found a great deal on a Red Sea Max E170 that I cut apart and resealed. Okay. How long would you wait to leak test? It's been roughly 3 weeks. Oh, leak test it now. Go now. Yeah, absolutely. Usually I wait let me, I have only ever resealed one tank. I don't ever want to do it again. But when I did, I waited 48 hours. Most silicone, even when it's thick, is completely cured within 48 hours. And I did the leak test. That was fine for 24 hours. Then I took it down and dried it, and it stayed dry for 4 or 5 days while I was setting it all back up, connecting the plumbing, doing all that stuff. But yeah, if it's been 3 weeks, you're good to go. Hal says, why not both? Facebook Marketplace. What you talking about, Hal?
The freshwater. Doing both freshwater and salt.
Fresh and salt.
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's cool too. You could definitely do both. That other guy, Sam, could. I got a cryptic and a possum wrasse and a red scooter blenny, and none of them eat my flatworms. Any advice? Unfortunately, that's really just down to the individual. Scooter blennies, I didn't really ever know of them eating flatworms. Here's a fun thing too. That's not a blenny at all. We call them that. I don't know why. It's a dragonette. So anyway, you might would have to get a different fish for that. I'm not sure on the cryptic, but my possum wrasse never ate any flatworms either. Unfortunately, it is gone now. I think it became food for our starfish. What is I'm trying to, the chorus, Coris, either a red or a yellow chorus wrasse might be a better choice if you're trying to use those to eat flatworms. Ginger said, I have a red-banded shrimp that eats bristleworms. Yes. He's looking for a new home in Iowa. I got you. Yeah. Whoops, I hit a button. Hang on. I love my fancy goldfish, and goldfish should really only be with other goldfish. Well, there we go. We have a freshwater person in the chat. Thank you, Kimberly, for answering that and for being a YouTube channel member. Man, I'll tell you what, if I could get every single one of my subscribers to join the $1 a month tier of YouTube membership,
Put out so much
the
more
stuff that I would be able to do on this channel would be insane. It would be nuts. Every piece of new gear, new equipment, whatever that comes out would get bought compared to everything else and all of that. And then I would raffle that stuff off away for like $1 a ticket. You know, so you could win like some ATI Stratons for $1 or something like that. But all 19,000, some 600 and whatever of you would have to sign up for the dollar tier for me to be able to do that. Anyway, but I appreciate you being a channel member. It means a lot. It really does. You guys are the part of the reason why I'm able to keep doing this now. So, how many hours of light should I run my tank? Says KZ Tropical. So the general guideline is 10 to 12 hours with a ramp up and a ramp down on both ends. And I don't like a peak photo period for more than about 4 to 5 hours. So you're going to start your light schedule. It's going to ramp up a little bit, and then you're going to, have a peak in the middle, and it's going to ramp down a little bit. Sometimes you can ramp up, flatten out, go up to a peak, across, down, flatten out, and then go back down again. It's really up to you. You could do just a dome like this, It really depends on what your lights are capable of. But roughly 10 to 12 hours with about 80% of your light being blue and about 20% of your light being white. It really just depends, though. It's hard to nail down, the exact perfect way to light your tank. But that's a good guideline, Charles has a question on nitrobiotic for lowering nitrate. I have increased to 3 mil every other day. How is the best way to add just to the display to the sump around the biomedia into the sand? So all I ever did was squirt it in front of a wave maker or like right into the backside of the wave maker and just let it disperse out into the tank. It's going to go everywhere anyway. Even into your filtration and stuff like that. So I just put it in a real high flow zone, and that's all I ever did with it. And that seems to work fine for me. Yo, Tim, what's up? Happy to have you here. Thanks for the little wave there. Best wrasses for flatworm is a 6-line or a yellow chorus. 6-line was the other one that I was trying to think of, but I like an 8-line better than a 6-line. 6 lines are kind of mean. 8 lines seem to be a little bit more temperamental, or less temperamental, I should say. Any suggestions to get rid of excess spaghetti worms? If you can, there are some wrasses that will eat those too. I don't recall the name of it. A chorus wrasse might. There's another one. Melanaris. Melanaris wrasses have been known to eat spaghetti worms. Otherwise, you can just get like a brine shrimp net or something. And when you see them down there, you can just like scoop them out. I know it's a pain in the butt, but that might be one way you could do it. Mysterious Reef said should be Scooter Dragonette. Yeah, 6-line is the best flatworm eater. They do a really good job. Kimberly does salt and fresh. That's very cool. The Jakes still busy with the aquascape on the 130. I think it'll look awesome. 2 weeks busy. This puzzle is crazy coming together. Yeah. Yeah, sounds like a cool thing. Jay said, I have become a member because I've gotten a lot more than my money's worth in information. Well, thank you, Jay. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. I try as much as I can to give out as much as I can for free. The YouTube channel will always be free. The Facebook group, which has gone private now, by the way, and is much higher quality than before, it's free. Everything that I offer is free. The only thing that I have available that isn't is optional. It's voluntary, So, how do we say your name? I'm just going to go with King. Joined at the Copepod supporter level. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means a ton. The Jakes said, today I was catching up on all Logan's live episodes, only managed 3 while building. Well, 3 live episodes was 9 hours of content. So, man, you were really putting the work in there. and you like the content, and I really appreciate that. You know, it's hard to put this stuff together sometimes. You know, my videos sometimes take 3 or 4 days of me rolling them around in my head until I actually get to the planning part, which usually happens all day on Thursday. And then Friday, I make and edit and all of that, the video. But sometimes it's tough. But that's why I'm only doing 1 video a week right now. I tried for a while to do 2, and that was before the 3D printing and all of the other things really started kicking off. And it was doable, but I didn't feel like the quality of video was there. And so we backed it down to 1 video. The videos are doing pretty well. They're slowing down a little bit though. But yeah, it's just moving along. Let's see. Bought a 15-gallon saltwater marine. Oops, something moved. Marine Innovation had it for a year with an anemone, 2 clowns, all that 6 months. Just new to saltwater. Anything I should know? Yeah, KCM Aquatics, man. There's a lot. There's a lot that you have to know. You know, you said new to saltwater, but I don't know how new you are. But I have a playlist on this YouTube channel called Saltwater Beginners Start Here. And it's a really good playlist. There's a lot of information there about mixing saltwater, how to read your reef rectometer and calibrate it, you know, test kits, you know, all that kind of thing, live rock versus dead rock, and like nutrient parameter balance, all these things. There's so much that you're going to be learning over the next several years. I'm 28 years in, and I'm still learning stuff. Like I literally just had a conversation with somebody the other day about elements and trace element consumption and stuff like that. You know, I mean, we never stop learning in this hobby. The people who have been doing it 40 or 50 years that literally wrote the books that got the hobby started and to where it is now, they are still learning. We have a convention that we're all going to in about 2 weeks up in Rhode Island called Reef Retreat. And it's all the big names of educators and some manufacturers in the industry, and then just some like really hobbyists who are really well into it. We're all going up there to sit in a classroom all day Saturday and all day Sunday and hear reef keeping presentations from industry experts, from coral spawning and coral feeding to everything else, to water flow dynamics and all of that stuff. It's an educational thing. It's not like a Reefapalooza. So we never stop learning. There's so much. Ice King or Sage is fun. I don't know what y'all are talking about.
That was the name. You didn't know what it was. Who became a member?
Oh.
Yeah, they were letting me
Oh,
know.
I got you. Ice King. Got you. Appreciate it. Yeah, my brain, the 2 and 2 didn't come together on that one. Yep. Thank you so much for becoming a channel member. I do appreciate that. We made the Facebook group private so that we could increase the quality of the group. And that was really the main thing. We just wanted to be able to have more control over the group than Facebook was allowing us to have with the other one. So anyway, that I don't want to say too much on that. It's just better quality. That's what we're going to go with. I would think that the new content is especially hard as long as you've been doing this. Yeah. Sometimes it's tough to figure out what I'm going to do. I usually try to keep sort of a running list in my head of what I'm going to make the week next or the week after or whatever. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. This past video was supposed to be on the new Dano Plus par meter, but I was not able to get the apogee to compare it to last week. So I'm hoping I can get that this week and do that one on Friday this week. But it just, man, sometimes it's just tough. You know, there are times where I've even been all the way up through the planning of a video, something change, and me not be able to make that video on the Friday and have to completely revamp and rip one out of nowhere. I've had to do that a couple of times, and it's tough. The Jake says, I can imagine all the thought you've put into it. Really appreciate it. Yeah, sometimes I do a week's worth of research on something just to make sure I'm saying the right thing. You know, it's all in the brain, but sometimes it doesn't want to come out of the mouth as it should. Like I understand the concept, but explaining the concept in a way that's understandable is ridiculously difficult sometimes. Not always, but it is sometimes. Willie says, I constantly watch that playlist and probably will until I feel time to move on to something else, not Reef Rookies. I feel you. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I even have to go back and look at, things that I learned 20 years ago and see if there's any sort of new thing about it or whatever. Getting refreshers on the basics is never a bad idea. Okay. KCM says, I've watched those, been doing freshwater for 17 years. Okay, good. So your freshwater experience is going to help you for sure. I just don't know why I keep killing everything in the tank. My parameters are good. Salinity is good. Flow is good. Okay, so here's one thing that I will tell you. You were asking for advice. I know it's really easy to say in conversation like this that your parameters are good. But anytime you're talking about your parameters, as best you can, I know you probably didn't want to type all that here because I'm not doing a consultation with you or anything like that, but try to use numbers. When you say your parameters are good, and they might be, almost spilled my coffee. There's a bug in my coffee. What are you doing? Go away. No. He's gone. So when you say your parameters are good, and they might be, just for example, I'm not saying you are doing this. I'm just saying, okay, here, let me give you this example. So I was doing a consultation with somebody 2 weeks ago. They told me in conversation before the consultation that their parameters were good. I was like, okay, well, we'll get into it when we end the consultation. So we get in, and they were only checking ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. That was it. They were not checking pH or alkalinity or calcium or magnesium or any of these other things. And they were not checking their salinity. They were only just basing salinity on measuring the salt, what it said, the 1/2 cup per gallon of salt. That was it. So when we really dug into it, half of their parameters they didn't even know, and the other half were wrong. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff out there that could be the reason why things keep dying in your tank. And when you're talking about it with somebody, just try to use numbers. It'll definitely help. But I know that you weren't like asking me for help on that issue. I'm just saying. What all do you quarantine and for how long? Fish, absolutely every time for a minimum of 76 days, maybe 90 days, depending if they're sick at the beginning, and I'm trying to get that cleaned up. Invertebrates, you really should QT for at least 3 to 4 weeks in a system that doesn't have any fish in it, because there are some fish diseases like ick and velvet that one part of the life cycle of the disease, you guys should go watch my ick and velvet videos. Super good videos. I'm really proud of those. I did a lot of research into that, trying to hit the important stuff. But part of the life cycle of those pathogens, they fall off the fish, find a hard surface, insist on that surface, and then reproduce. And if you end up going to the fish store and you get 6 turbo snails, and one of those turbo snails has ick insisted on its shell, and you bring it home and you put it in the tank, you've just transported ick into your tank. Chances are your tank has the ick pathogen in it already anyway, because 99% of the tanks that we have do. It's just managed. But anyway, my point is, if you can QT your invertebrates, QT them for about a month in a system all by themselves with no fish. Corals are a little different. Dipping takes care of most things. Visual inspection and scraping off eggs and stuff like that takes care of the rest. But if you have a big system with a lot of expensive corals, I would also recommend having a second frag setup where you QT your corals before they go into the main display. Some things are very, 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 very tiny and really hard to see with the naked eye. There are people who have inspection microscopes set up so that they can put a frag under it and look at that coral frag under microscopy to make sure that it doesn't have any bad stuff like red bugs or black bugs or whatever. So the more things you can QT, the better. However, I understand that drastically increases the complexity of the hobby for everyone. It's just how much risk do you want to take is the thing. Do certain things need to be going on in the tank before adding a lawnmower blenny? Nah, you can add them pretty early on, as long as the tanks have as long as the rocks have begun to turn brown, turn bright green, and start, with their colors and stuff like that. You could put one in there. Most of the time, lawnmower blennies are going to eat frozen mysis and brine and pellets and stuff anyway. So, Ryder says, every time you say Dano, it makes me want to buy the seasoning, especially with your accent. It's funny that you should say that. It's so weird that this kind of stuff happens. My wife and I were literally talking earlier today. Oh, God, I got to tell you guys about the Mandu story. It might be. Yeah. We were talking about, so they sell Tony Chachere's, which is a local Louisiana food seasonings, one of the best Cajun seasonings there is. They sell them on Amazon in little singles packets, a half an ounce in singles packets. And we're thinking about getting some and sending them out with the 3D prints. I just think that would be kind of neat. Like some companies send candy, whatever. I think we're going to send some Tonys. Have fun at Reef Retreat. I wanted to go, but didn't. Maybe next year. Went to college in Rhode Island. Pretty cool. Yeah. So I don't remember what the college is, but it's one of the colleges up there that hosts the event. We get one of the big, like auditorium style classrooms, and we get to stay in the dorms and all that. They've worked all that out with them. Stable number of something. I don't know. Let's see. The bug wouldn't have drank too much coffee. Oh, it's Roger Williams University. There you go. Invest in a Milwaukee refractometer. It's not a bad way to go. Not a bad way to go. They're pretty expensive. I would say invest in a Tropic Marin floating glass hydrometer. They never need calibration. They will always work the first time. Unfortunately, you will only ever drop it once, and then you'll have to get another one. But overdosing magnesium will elevate your salinity. Interesting. My turbo snail is the size of a tennis ball. Yeah, that's actually a pretty big one, though. That's I forget what species that is. That's not the Mexican turbo. It's a different one. But they do get pretty big. KCM says, I don't check the magnesium or calcium. Just a little complicated on understanding how to do the test for me. I do have the refractometer that you look through, have no problem with it. So make sure that refractometer is being calibrated every time that you use it. And with 35 PPT refractometer calibration solution. Don't use RODI water. That is wrong. There's only one specific type of refractometer that can be calibrated with RODI water, and it's generally not the kind that we see in the hobby. That is a true seawater refractometer, which is different from a brine refractometer, which is the one that we most commonly see in the hobby. So yeah, make sure you're using fluid. I get mine from aquacraft.net. Very simple website. It's about $9 a bottle. It'll last you years. In fact, I need to get a new bottle. Or you can even, if you dig around on the internet, you can dig around for the recipe you can find, and you can make your own calibration solution. So that's out there too. Willie says, I don't know how y'all aren't 400 pounds. I went to New Orleans once and gained 20 pounds in 3 days. That's not counting the weight. Yeah. It's I guess it's one of those things, when you live here, you just don't consume that type of food that much. I mean, we're making red beans and rice for dinner, but like we wouldn't go to like Middendorf's and do the like seafood freaking like whatever party tray platter thing that it would take one person a week to eat. We don't do that every day. But it actually is a problem. There's some statistics that show that this is one of the most unhealthy areas in the country, and a lot of that comes from all the fried food. But it does taste good. Okay, use it to calibrate every time. Very good. So you're doing well. I use the Brightwell calibration. Good deal. Jambalaya, gumbo, yes. Yes. I have been all over the world. I spent some time in South Korea, stopped in Germany, and all over the United States. And we stopped in, I've been in Iraq and Pakistan and a couple of other places. I can tell you, as a person who's done a bit of traveling at least, the food in Louisiana is the best food on the planet, bar none. It doesn't compare. There's good food in other places. I'm not saying that you can't go to Connecticut, or Canada or, the UK and get good food, because you can, I'm sure. But our food's the best. Just saying. Yeah. We make jambalaya, gumbo, pastalaya is a good one, stuff like that. It's super good. Let's see what we got here. Chris says, Reef Nano XL versus XXL for beginners. Worth going bigger? Yeah. Go with the double XL for sure. You're going to be happier with it in the long run. It might be a little more expensive for you to set up. The gear is going to be a little bit more expensive to get things, but you're going to be happier with it in the long run. The smaller tanks, they're really very limited on livestock that you can put into the tank. And so even just a little bigger, like going with a 40-gallon versus a 20-gallon, it opens up way more doors for things that you'll be able to get and put in the tank that are going to be happy in that tank. Did we share the thing in the Facebook group?
Live, yeah.
You did? Okay. Would you recommend a specific brand of hydrometer? Yes, the Tropic Marin one. There's a bunch of them on Amazon and stuff, and they're hit or miss. We sell one with the Sea Cardinal tank kits that we have verified to be pretty good. It's like within 0.001 of being right, so it's good. But the Tropic Marin hydrometer, the glass floating one, that's the best one. Stay away from those swing needle kinds. No, don't go that direction. 61 people in here with us right now. That's super cool. Last week we had 78 or something?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
That was usually about midstream.
Yeah, about midway. Yeah, YouTube pushes it out to a lot more people about midway. Let's see. I wanted to do a 40-gallon, but have decided that's not going to be big enough.
That's me.
That's my wife. I didn't know that. I use BRS solution. Okay, well, that works. The only problem with those, the refractometer calibration solutions is some of them, and it seems to vary almost bottle to bottle sometimes. Some of them just aren't that accurate. If you leave the lid off and any evaporation occurs, it changes the salinity in that bottle because it's such a small amount. So it's really hard to say, that's why I'm moving away from a prism style refractometer, and I'm either going to go with a Milwaukee Digital or I'm going to go with that Tropic Marin floating hydrometer. But I've had my refractometer for years, and right now, like many years, and right now it's still working. And I'm ICP testing the tank once a month. So I have that check to make sure that it's where it should be. I mean, I probably could, back off on testing it, but I test it every Wednesday just to be sure anyway. Speaking of which, I started making some changes to the tank here recently. It's looking pretty good. We're going to go do a tank tour in about 15 minutes once we hit the 1 hour mark. Good coffee. I'll be right back. So a couple of y'all, let's drop some new questions in the chat. Maybe something that you're confused about with reef keeping, or something that you want to know about, but you don't want to look up all the information. Hit me, and we'll talk about it. Coming back around. Here we go. Ooh. The glass floating one. Yeah. Those are really, really good. Denny says, what's up with the Red Sea tank numbers? They be like Red Sea 1000 and it's like 150 gallon. Yeah, I'm really not that sure how they've how they've chosen to do that. I've never really looked into it, so I don't know. I always assumed it was just based on liters instead of gallons. But I'm honestly not real sure. So we got a couple questions now. Here we go. All right. 40 is too small for me too. I'm going to be setting up a 90 with a 40 breeder sump. That's a good size. Yeah, definitely. When adding coral, should you wait to add fish, or you can mix it up? You can mix it up. Yeah. Do corals this week. Do fish the next week. Whatever. It really doesn't matter as long as the tank is through the nitrogen cycle. Then it's safe for fish. And you can even add corals during the nitrogen cycle, and that helps with the nitrogen cycle. I keep trying to convince people of this, but I keep getting a lot of pushback in America, but not so much pushback in other countries because they already do that there, so it's a thing. But yeah, you can flip flop it. Just remember to add cleaners too. Don't neglect your cleanup crew. So every time you go to the store and get a fish or get a coral or something, get half a dozen snails or something and throw them in there. One cleaner per gallon is what we're trying to go for. So Ghost says, new to the hobby and just starting out, got a 32.5 gallons. Is that the Fluval BioCube? That's a really nice tank. I've had a couple of them. They were 29 gallons when I got them. They didn't have the 32.5. But it's a pretty slick little tank. They've upgraded the lighting in recent years. So the stock lighting in the BioCube, you can actually have a really nice mixed reef under that. You probably can't do any SPS, but softies and torches, hammers, Acans, Blastos, Duncans, stuff like that. You can put those things in there and it'll be fine. Ryan says, you're no longer a rookie after 28 years. Do you do more advanced things to your tanks behind the scenes, or do you keep it simple because it works?
I said both.
So my wife said both. And I guess that's true. I try to keep it as simple as I possibly can, because a simple system is simple to fix. A complicated system is complicated to fix. So I'm trying to think of how I could exemplify this. The way that I run my tank is through the Triton method, and that is a style of reef keeping. It's a way you set your tank up. I'm not talking about the trace element program right now. We'll talk about that in a minute. But so the way that I keep the tank is the Triton method, where you have a tank and a sump. In the sump, it goes mechanical filtration to a skimmer to a refugium, and that is the filtration for your tank. That's one of the simplest, easiest ways that you can set up a reef tank and get to a more advanced sort of stage of reef keeping while not having an overly complicated system. I actually don't like overly complicated systems. Too much can go wrong. Every time you add a valve or a piece of equipment or a controller device or something like that, that's a potential failure point for the tank. So the more that you can stay away from that kind of stuff and just run a simple system, the fewer failure points you have in your entire system. So keeping it simple, to me, is very important. That said, I am also dosing trace elements through the Triton Master Your Trace Element, MYTE, dosing program, which is super easy. And that still fits into the keep it simple sort of thing, because there are multiple ways that you can dose trace elements to your tank. But that's the easiest one. You ICP test the tank, send that to them. They check it out. They mix your trace elements into 2 bottles. We'll go look at it in a minute when we do the tank tour. They give you 2 bottles. You hook those up on a doser. You could do it manually, but we have a raccoon in our backyard. Where's he at?
He's right here, right outside the window. I'm looking at him.
Oh, you guys want to go see the raccoon? I want to go see the raccoon. We will come back to the Triton mite system in just a minute. Let's go see the raccoon. Oh, hello. Like, hey, little buddy. He done found him like some grub.
It's doing his little hands. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, raccoons are funny. They do a lot with their hands for sure. Anyway, he's kind of red.
Yeah, he is.
Never know what you're going to get on a Reef Rookies live stream, people. You might get, an invitation to the zoo or whatever. So let me get back over here and hook this back up. And let me finish talking about this, and then we'll do the tank tour, right? So anyway, the Triton Mite program is super simple because they give you the 2 bottles. You hook them up on a doser. You dose those 2 bottles. Your trace elements are taken care of. No big deal. They have another system called the Core 7 system, and that one is calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, and some trace elements. And you dose it according to what they tell you to do, and it takes care of the tank. Super easy, super simple. On the flip side of that, there are ways to dose trace elements to your tank that are not simple. They require monthly ICP testing, and you dripper dropping, trace elements into the tank individually. Sometimes it's 1 drop every day, and there's 20 trace elements that you have to dropper in there and stuff like that. So the simpler you can keep it, the better it's going to be. Believe me. What is the best way to add new rock to an old tank? Real Reef rock. Thank you for the question, Ronald, and thank you for being a YouTube channel member. I appreciate you so much for doing that. The best way is to get your new rock in, quarantine it for a week in a system that has flow and heat and salt water, and just to see if there's anything bad in there that you don't want to put into your tank. And then once you've done that, if you haven't found anything like gorilla crabs or fireworms or anything like that, then just put it in the tank. That's all you got to do. But I would recommend QT in it just to make sure. I run an Apex, and I've noticed a big difference between a pH probe on Apex and a pH test with Saltwater. I've recalibrated the probe, but still a difference. Apex reads lower. Which one would you believe? I would tend to err on believing the Saltwater kit, because pH probes, I forget exactly what it is about them. It's a way that they work. If they get dirty, they don't work right. If the calibration is just slightly off, they won't work right. Saltwater works freaking great. You put 6 drops of stuff in the thing, it turns the color, and you're good to go. So, but I get it. It's nice to have that Apex, and they do monitor pH, and that's a really nice thing. But I don't like probes for measuring things in saltwater. Almost all of them, I think maybe even all of them, are based on an electrical conductivity measurement. And even if the salinity is wrong in your calibration media packet and whatever, that's not exactly what I was trying to say, but I'm trying to get the idea out. Any little tiny thing makes that thing read differently. Temperature too. If you calibrate it at the wrong temperature, then it's off as well. So keep it simple. Am I the only one that never sees my Watchman goby and pistol shrimp? I see mine right now in my little 22 gallon right here. I got a yellow Watchman goby and a Randall's pistol. Jay says, any not so common reef safe fish you'd recommend? Running out of options in the normal and commonplace category, trying to keep a good mix. Yeah, my wife is struggling with that right now. She was trying to find a singular fish that's really cool to put into a 40-gallon biotope, and it's hard. You might consider a marine beta. Those are really cool fish. They're kind of cryptic. They like to hide in the dark. But sometimes they will eat ornamental shrimp. So just keep that in mind. But they are pretty nice fish. Another one that you don't really see a lot, but is a super pretty fish, is a Labaudi's wrasse. They're super pretty. If your tank is big enough for that, you might consider that one. I've seen Coral Connection and Aquatic Specialties have those sometimes. He's about to come in the house with us. Oh, we got a raccoon buddy. Cool.
Susie was like, is it the wrong time? Like, is he have rabies or something?
No, he seems to be acting normal. I don't think he's sick. Brandon says, any thoughts on All for Reef? Yes, All for Reef is a good product to maintain your calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium, and add some trace elements. It's not designed to raise any of those things. You basically raise calcium, alkalinity, magnesium to where it needs to be, and then begin using All for Reef to maintain it. That being said, it's a good product. It does what it says. It's just that a lot of people try to use it incorrectly, and they use it to try to raise those things, and that's not what it's meant for. Let's see. Fluval Flex. That's a nice little tank too. If you were to set up a 36 bow front, what would you stock it with? Whew, a 36? Probably some really nice clownfish, a pair of really nice clownfish. I would definitely do a firefish, a pair, male-female pair of bang-eye cardinal fish. I would do a Yasha goby and a pistol shrimp combo. I would do a possum wrasse. Maybe a scooter dragonette, maybe if I was growing copepods and stuff. Or I would get a mandarin dragonette from Biota, the tank raised one that's eating the tiny pellets, the TDO pellets. And that's what I would do. Can I add new sand to an established tank in order to replenish some of the sand that I've sucked up while doing water changes? Yes, you can. Use a length of PVC pipe. Pour that new sand down the length of that PVC pipe. So put it all the way to the bottom. Pour the sand down through that, and it'll help you get it down there. Or you could put it in a bucket, rinse it, whatever, and then scoop it with a cup. Lower the cup down in the tank like this, and then pour the sand out along the bottom. But yeah, you can add it. What size tank would you take on SPS? The wine glass tank is not on. The doggone power outage, I forgot about it. So I currently have SPS growing in a 3-gallon wine glass. If I turn this over there, see that tank over there? The one in the middle? So I've got SPS growing in that. I've got a red Montipora digitata and a purple Stylopora in there. So pretty cool. It's got a Delua Illumagic Pixel light and a little hang on the back filter, and that's it. Well, and a heater, a little 10-watt heater. But yeah, SPS can grow in any tank as long as it is a stable tank. So size really doesn't matter. Red Sea equals total system volume in liters. Okay, cool. So I thought that's what it was. Oh, total system volume. So tank and sump. So a 350 is going to be 350 liters total. Gotcha. I never looked into it. Buying a Red Sea tank has never been a thing that I've been interested in. So, do you think adding a few pieces of ocean live rock to a bin of dry rock that is currently cycling will help with diversity? Do you think it's worth the risk of picking up all the pests? Yes, 100%. I do think it's worth the risk. You're going to be able to get rid of those pests. There is no other method out there that's going to bring as much bacterial diversity and stuff into that new rock as rock from the ocean will. It's just impossible to do it in any other way other than getting it from an established reef tank. But even that is debatable. So yes, absolutely, I think it's worth it and is exactly what I would do. How about what's normal and what's not normal subjectively for the ugly stages? Cool question. Interesting question. The ugly stage is traditionally considered is what we call the diatom explosion. Turns the tank brown, not stringy brown, just a brown dusting on the sand and the rocks. Some people get it worse than others, some tanks, I mean. It just depends on how much silicate content is in the tank during the ugly phase. Now, that being said, you can get some green and red algae and stuff like that during the ugly phase too. I wouldn't worry about that too much. Dinoflagellates are not typically one of the things that we consider to be a part of the ugly phase. That is a whole different problem unto its own. Cyanobacteria also, same thing. That's a whole bacterial issue that isn't really the ugly phase per se. Chrysophytes is a type of golden type of hair algae, not really normal for the ugly phase. But all these things can happen during that time of the tank because it's just flipping and flopping and swinging and stuff. So, to define what the ugly stage really is, it would be diatoms. Until we set the tank up, there's silicates in the tank, whether it be from the tap water or from the sand or they're on the rocks or whatever, and the diatoms explode in population due to the abundance of food. Then they consume all that food, the silicates, and then they die off and they stay gone, hopefully. We want them in there. And every tank has a certain amount of dinoflagellates too. They all do. If you take a sample of my tank right now, I guarantee you we can find some, even though they're not showing visibly. They're in there. But yeah, so I added corals before I added fish. Very cool. Yeah, a lot of people do it that way. Setting up Neptune on your 32.5. Very cool. If you were to stock a 25-gallon, that would pretty much be the same thing as I said a few minutes ago for the 36. Clownfish, cardinal fish, one firefish, not multiple. And once it's mature, maybe a dragonette, another fish that I would put in there would be like 3 or 4 of the neon shark nose gobies. I really like those guys. You could get the little blue stripe and the yellow striped ones. They're super cool. That was a pretty good sized raccoon. I'm a little far behind on the stuff. I'm trying to get caught up with you guys. Planning on getting zoas, couple hammers, clownfish. Cool. Appropriate tank size for a raccoon. Apparently about a ½ acre inside a fence. That's pretty funny. Thank you, King, for being a YouTube channel member. I appreciate that. What kind of mollies can we put into a reef tank? Good question, Philip. All of the mollies are a brackish species of fish. They actually live in the wild. They transition from freshwater to marine to breed and go back and forth. So mollies can be converted to straight marine stuff. The sailfin variety is the one that I've had the most good results with. I've got a sailfin molly in my refugium right now. Convict cichlids, those are always cool. Love your tank. Thank you very much. External versus internal overflow. External, if possible, every single time. I just don't like having them in the tank. And I have one in my tank right there. Big, huge one right in the middle of the tank. But I'd prefer for it not to be there. My favorite type of tank is what's called a coast-to-coast overflow. So there's an overflow weir all the way across the entire back side of the tank. And it overflows into a box behind the tank that is angled and runs downhill to the drain on one end of that box. So the entire surface of the tank flows through that weir. That's my favorite kind. Sea tanks are cool, but I don't know how they work. Well, fortunately for you, there are people like me who can teach you how they work if you want to learn. Yeah, KISS. Yeah, keep it super simple. Grayson shed. Don't know why I couldn't say your name. Grayson says, new to the channel and randomly caught your live. Been doing some freshwater tanks to get warmed up for reef keeping. Main goals are a mandarin dragonette and zoa garden. Very cool. Mandarin dragonettes, do your research on that fish. Wild caught ones require live copepods and isopods to eat. You can culture those yourself, or you can just try to put that dude in a bigger system with lots of live rock where they can culture themselves. Or you can get one from a company called Biota, B-I-O-A-T-A, B-I-O-T-A, Biota. They tank raise them and they have them eating little bitty pellets. They're very expensive and they come in really small, like a ½ an inch, But yeah, it's very cool. Does dry Marco rock soak up nitrates? Tank finished cycling Feb 17th and 0 nitrates as of today. Yes, it absolutely can. So what happens with that is that rock is dry, dead. There's no bacterial activity. Once it's in the tank, it starts becoming alive, but that takes several months for that process to take place. And there are different zones of bacteria within the rock. So if you think of that rock like the earth, where the earth has a crust and a mantle and a core, the rock has the same thing. There's bacteria on the surface, the nitrifying bacteria. There's bacteria that are a little deeper in, that are in a, anaerobic zone, a low oxygen zone further deep in the rock. And then in the very core, in the center of the rock, are bacteria that are anoxic. They have no oxygen. And all of those bacteria do different things. For those bacteria to grow and become populated in there, they have to have nutrients to do so. And so they draw up the nutrients in the tank, and the rocks absorb nitrate. There's some other stuff that goes on with phosphate, with actual like calcification inside the rocks and stuff like that. Nitrate doesn't play a part in that role. It gets deep. And I haven't actually done the deep research to know exactly what's going on in that situation. But yes, those dead rocks can suck up nitrates for sure. So what I would recommend is dosing them. You can get Brightwell Neo Nitro, and you can add that to the tank. You can overfeed the tank a little bit. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but you could. That usually tends to lead to a high phosphate situation, and you end up with algae. I don't like overfeeding the tank. I'd rather give it what it needs rather than give it a bunch of stuff that it doesn't need. How do you humanely feed your harlequin shrimp? I got a mated pair for Astorina starfish, and they have cleaned most everything up, and now I need to supplement their feeding. There really isn't a way. So harlequin shrimp, for those of you who don't know, are obligate starfish eaters. They only eat starfish. That's it. They cannot survive on any other food source. And they have to be live starfish. So if I turn my camera, so I have a harlequin starfish in this tank. I have 2 chocolate chip starfish in this tank. And I feed the chocolate chip starfish and let them do their thing. And once a week, I use a very sharp pair of shears, and I cut a leg off of the chocolate chip starfish, and I give it to the harlequin shrimp. Is it humane? Maybe not. I don't like doing it, but my wife said it's her fault. I don't like doing it, but I got the harlequin shrimp, and so now I have to give it the best life that I can. Unfortunately, nature sometimes makes things eat other things. So, that's really my only option. I don't have Astorinas or Aquilinostras. Those starfish really don't multiply fast enough, nor provide enough nutrition to properly care for the harlequin shrimp over time. So even if I was to culture the Astorina starfish, it's still not going to be enough food for them. So really it's a catch-22. Oh yeah, okay, that's fine. Okay, let's answer this one, and then we'll do a tank tour. My current tank, I have a FX6 canister filter, but I hate the trouble of getting to it to maintain it. Would it be worth doing a hang-on overflow with a 10-gallon sump and a 40-gallon tank? Maybe hang on the back overflow, so you could add that without drilling. If you're going to do the hang on the back overflow and a return pump that kind of goes over the back rim of the tank, then I would say yes. Go ahead and gather up everything that you need, get your sump and all of that, and then do that. I would say no if you were going to have to tear the tank down and drill it and all of that stuff. But if you're not going to be doing that, then I would say, yeah, you can get the hang on the back stuff and you can use that. Let me get this. I'm getting my coral lens and everything. We're going to go do a tank room tour and all that. All right. So what is a good hang-on overflow to use? I prefer the eShops ones, ESHOPPS. Those are the ones that I prefer. But there is a brand on Amazon. I can't recall the name of it right now, but it's a pretty good looking overflow box. I would recommend that if you could, get one that has 2 overflows inside the box, not just one. So even if you have to run a bigger overflow box than you need to, it'll have 2 drains. That way, if one gets plugged up, you still have an emergency drain. All right, so this is my tank. I'm going to put my ice cap coral lens on here so it takes some of that blue away. There we go. So if you guys haven't seen my tank before, this is it. My big sail fin here is a camera hog every time. He loves to be right in front. Rock flower nems here and there. Some of my corals, like that one, are kind of mad. I put new lights on the tank. Let me open the lid. I put new lights on the tank recently. These are Delua lights. And I put them on the tank recently, and I ramped them up a little too fast, and some of my corals are starting to bleach a little bit. And some of them are a little bit closed up. Like that purple hammer back there should not be that light colored. So I'm going to have to reduce the lighting a bit and try to get things dialed back in. Of course, the filter and everything right now is also sort of making some of the colors look a little bit like crap. Very big difference between what we see without the filter and what we see with it. This is one of my favorite pieces. This guy back here, this is a Project X neon green fungia plate. This is a Galaxia. But yeah, so here's the thing, right? So that Micromusa right there is pissed off. And I think it's because my phosphates are quite low. They're down, almost down to 0. But all my Micromusa in my tank are all super mad right now. And they've been this way for about a month or maybe a little more than a month. So even me, with the experience that I have and knowing the things that I know, my tank still has issues sometimes. That's just the way it goes, you guys. But I have Acropora that are looking great. And actually that one, it's looking a little funky too. So I've been adjusting some of the parameters of the tank recently. That's probably got something to do with it. That's one of my favorite pieces too. You guys can't really see in this. Get out the way. You guys can't really see, but the tips on this thing are freaking neon blue. That's a 2-color coral. This is called a contraband digitata. It's red and green, and I'm hoping as it grows, it turns into a magnificent piece. So, anywho, that's a really cool fish too, by the way, for like that 36 or that 25 long or whatever it is. This is a chalk bass. If he would turn a little bit sideways, you could see his striped coloration. Very cool fish. Super inquisitive, always out darting around the tank and whatnot. Got a big feather duster back here. Oh, hey, Connie. How you doing? We're just doing a tank tour. You've seen this tank about 1,000 times, I think. So all my corals, my polyp extension is a little bit out of whack because, like I said, I've been dosing some things. I need to check the water parameters and whatnot. Let's take a look at the wine glass tank. We'll take this off. So here's the wine glass tank. I don't know where the Harlequin shrimp went. He was just out front here. Oh, there he is. Right there. Hey, little guy. He's a trooper. But yeah, I've got Montipora in here. I've got Stylopora in here. And pulsing Xenia. I just turned the light on, so it's a little waking up still. There's even SPS that has broken off that's growing down in the sand bed. And yeah, there's bubble algae, and that looks like ulva, maybe. Ulva algae right there. Not even real sure, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of dirty, It is what it is. Just basically let this tank run and do its thing. I really don't touch it. I don't do water changes. I don't feed it. I don't do anything. I feed the Harlequin shrimp, and that's it. So let's go take a look at the fish room. This tank looks like crap right now because I'm trying to get dinos out of it. But back here is my fish room. And so this is where all the magic happens. And it's an absolute mess because so much is going on. This is connected to the main display on the other side of that wall. Everything comes through the wall right there. And these 2 tanks share this sump down here. And so there's a lot of cool stuff in here, but the light isn't on. So clownfish and bubble tip nymphs. There's some corals in here like that Hollywood chalice, Hollywood stoner, you know, coralline algae growing like crazy. There's the Molly, a sailfin. He's pretty cool, hungry. But there's a lot of turf algae. There's amptasias growing. There's stomatella snails breeding all over the place. Let's see, there's one right there. Look, amphipod growing. That's what you want in a refugium. You know, this thing ain't supposed to be perfect because all of this crap grows in here, so it doesn't grow in the main display. This is the dosing setup. These two are the Triton trace elements, and all of these are for other things like nitrates. Oh no, I got phosphate in that right now. Nitrate, alkalinity. If I need calcium or whatever, I can use for that. Fish Hive says, how many gallons is that? My big system, the total system volume. Oh, hey, Jay, look, I changed my media. The total system volume is about 250 gallons. This is a 40-gallon breeder. Great size to start with. And then it holds about 30 gallons or so in my sump, and the tank in the front is a 180. So that's what size that tank is. So cool, yeah. Anyway, come back around here. All right. No Mechanic says new here. Well, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you here. We talk about saltwater fish tanks here. And sometimes raccoons. Let me get a watermelon, Jolly Rancher. And then we'll move on. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you guys are having an awesome Sunday. It's about an hour and 15 minutes into the stream. We're going to go for about till about 4 o'clock. So we got a couple more hours to go for sure. Let's see here. Sorry I'm late. No worries, Connie. No big deal. Best place to order rock flowers. Huh. I'm trying to remember who had all the rock flowers at Reefapalooza. I don't remember either. You might try Worldwide Corals or TSA, Top Shelf Aquatics. They usually have a pretty good selection. There's a local place to me, but I don't think they do shipping, called Coral Connection. And they usually bring a lot of nice rock flower nymphs to the shows and stuff like that. But you can look them up, but I don't know if they ship. And I don't think they have anything listed on their website and stuff. You might check Aquatic Specialties. That's also a local shop to me, but I believe that they do ship. So, the Jake says, grab another coffee.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah, if you want to fill it up for me, that'd be awesome. So, nice white media in that scrubber, huh, Jay? Yeah, I took care of that. My tank goes through that entire large ice cap scrubber about once every 2 weeks. So it gets kind of expensive, but it does keep my pH at 8.2. So very happy about that. Charles says, for external overflow, look at Life Reef. Okay. I've had 2 that have lasted 25 years, never had one, and never had any issues, basically, I think is what you're saying there. Still look brand new. Very cool. The Jake says freshly ground, of course. So I actually drink a triple shot espresso latte every morning. And I use a dark Italian roast coffee bean to make that with, and it is fresh ground every day. This is just bean water.
There's no squirrels out there. Right?
No squirrels?
No, Squirrels are like,
Is the raccoon still out there?
Yeah, he's still out there. He's been all up on the patio.
Oh, he's on the porch?
He was. He just moved back out into the yard a little bit. Like, there are no squirrels out there.
I wonder if squirrels don't like raccoons.
Maybe not.
Coffee snob. So I never thought that I would be a coffee snob, right? And I'm still, look, I'm still on the very low end of things. Look, here's how that went, right? This is off of the normal topic. For a while, I was an Amazon influencer. So companies would send me product to make videos on for their Amazon pages. I still do it sometimes. But this company, Free Coffee, FRI, sent me this espresso machine, right? And they were like, check it out, see what you think, make a video about it. And so I did. And it ruined coffee for me.
He's on the patio.
He's on the patio? That's cool. We used to have a raccoon at our other house, and he would come up on the back porch even when we were on there, and he would eat the cat food and stuff. We called him Rocky. So I don't know, maybe this guy will come hang around more. That would be cool. We like having wildlife in our yards. K13 says beer or be thirsty. Connie, you were being requested by Charles to give a nitrate update on your tank. And Jake said, now we're talking. That sounds really nice. It's a pretty cool machine. I do like it, but I'll tell you what, there was a guy that I was at the fire department with too. And the only way that he drank his coffee was with a manual French press. And listen, that was a good coffee too. So anywho, that's enough about coffee. My fish couldn't get along, so now each fish has its own tank. Oh my goodness. Well, that happens. That happens sometimes. Ronald, thank you so much for being, and Trav, you too. Thank you for being YouTube channel members. You guys, that means so much to me. You don't even know. You just don't even know. I can't even explain how much that means to me and my wife and my family and my kids and everybody.
And our followers, because that helps them.
Yeah, and our followers too, because, yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm not being paid by any brands to represent them. They're giving me a few little products here and there or whatever, but I'm not being paid by any of these brands. So the only way that I make any money from this is through ad revenue from my YouTube videos and through the YouTube membership program and donations and stuff like that. That's literally what we're living on right now. Trying to make this thing into something amazing for everybody. So we're making it work. It's tough, but we're making it work. Let's see. Ronald was asking, so with running the MITE program, do you still dose other items or just the 2 bottles? I don't dose anything else for any trace elements. My tank is also consuming alkalinity and magnesium, so I'm adding those things back in too because it doesn't cover that. So to answer your question, yes, I am dosing other stuff. What you might check into though is the Triton Core 7. I was talking about this a little while ago. It is a calcium, magnesium, alkalinity dosing 4-part program that also includes some trace elements in the magnesium component. This was just explained to me the other day in a way that I can understand it. So now I can explain it to y'all. So if you're not quite ready to go full on with the MITE program, but you have calcium and alkalinity magnesium consumption, you can look into that. It's a balanced program. You dose them all at a certain ratio, and it also replenishes some of your trace elements too. And then when you're ready, you can add the MITE program on the back end of that to take up any deficiencies from that program, because everything can't be made into a single solution. So they can't put all of the trace elements in the magnesium component. They can only put some of them. I am actually considering switching to using the Core 7 and then letting the MITE program pick up what it doesn't have as a way to supplement my calcium, alkalinity, and magnesium in my tank. I haven't talked to Triton about that yet, but I want to talk to them about it in the future to see if that's something that we might could, work together on. Then I could experience that program as well and then tell you guys what I think about it.
He went under the shed.
He went under the shed?
Under the shed.
He might live under there. Yeah, he might have him a nest under. Oh, I see him.
He came out the other side.
Raccoons are so unbothered, man. They just walk around all slow. They're like, so.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep hijacking the fish.
It's fine.
It's like, oh my gosh.
He's a really cool looking raccoon. He's just chilling. Let's see. Whoa, what happened? Oh, we got a copepod supporter. Wild Man did so. and Ginger joined at the Clownfish supporter level. Thank you guys so much. It really means a lot. Really does. What's up, Drew? Nice to have you in the chat, man. Nice to see you here with us. So for everybody who doesn't know, Absolute Zero, who just joined the chat, he is a local guy to me. Very nice guy. Love the guy to death. You know, he's one of them people, if you ever need anything, he's there. And he's been there a couple times for me. And I would do the same for him if I ever could. Anyway, he sells corals. And he has a Facebook group called Andrew Hash Signature Corals. So it's just Andrew and then Hache is how you spell his last name. Signature Corals. Go find that Facebook group. Join that group. He ships corals all over the continental United States. He did not know that I was going to say any of this. I didn't even know he was going to be in the stream today. I'm just giving the guy a shout out because he's a super nice guy and he has super nice coral. In fact, a couple of corals that I have came from him. I'll show them to you. So let's see. Oh, yeah. My torch that had the BJE for a little while ago, that one came from him. I believe this torch might have come from him too. I can't remember. I can't be real sure. I've had several Zoas and stuff come from him. And this thing, which I absolutely love. Wait a minute. Let me get my coral lens. Hang on a minute. We're going around the world today in this live stream. Yeah, like I said, he didn't know I was going to say any of this. So that pinwheel candy cane came from him. And it was a super nice piece. It's put on a few heads, but it still came to me with about 6 heads. And like his prices are super fair and everything, guys. So look, if you like supporting local people who are ethical people and they try to aquaculture their corals in their own facilities and stuff. He just runs the thing out of his house. He's a super nice guy. He's one of the moderators in my Facebook group. And yeah, so anyway, check him out. Andrew Hash, Hache, Signature Corals. Anyway, let me go back up here. Hanging outside with the Graham. Very nice, dude. Can he send to South Africa? Unfortunately, no. Oh, I missed a bunch of stuff. Don't feed the coons. They're impossible to get rid of.
I will anyway.
She's going to feed them anyway. She's going to feed them 100%. One thing I never did is to test salinity after mixing the water before adding it to the tank. Oh, gosh. Yeah. No, you have to do that. You definitely have to do that. Let's see. He was counting his super glue stash. Yeah. Andrew's corals do look nice. Yeah, and listen, his corals, man, when I get them, they always immediately, you put them in the tank, within an hour, they're friggin' out and big and fluffy and look great. For sure. So when will we see a zinnia tank that will even scare raccoons? My wife actually really likes pulsing zinnia. It's one of her favorite, is it your favorite? It's her favorite coral. So she's considering setting up a tank that just has like softies and zinnia and stuff like that with maybe some angelfish or something for herself. Oh, the agreement is that she takes care of it, not me, because I'm tapped out, y'all. I'm done. I'm ready to take some tanks down, if I'm being honest with you. Andrew says, even if you just have questions or issues, always ask. Yeah, dude's super helpful. Too late. They're already fed. Yeah.
Now that I know he's out there, absolutely he'll be fed.
Andrew says that he has let him know he's got a basket full of waving hand zinnia as well.
Okay.
Hal said frogfish zinnia tank.
Man, I'm leaning on the frog.
Did you see the pink frogfish I sent you this morning?
I wasn't. Yes, I did. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Softies for life. Yeah. Softy tanks are super easy, you guys. If you want to get into saltwater and you don't want to have to worry about all the crazy this and that and doing this. Just do a softy tank. It's so easy to do a softy tank. Just do a softy tank. Go ahead and commit to doing 10% or 15% weekly water changes. And that's it. A decent light, and you're good to go. Trav says 7 tanks over 700 gallons. I hate this hobby. Yeah. The pink rhinos get big, Andrew. Dang it. I don't know how big they get. I've never looked into them. So, all right, guys, we are halfway into the live stream today. I think it's going quite well. Thank you all for joining me so much. This is the point where I do my blurb. Hang on, because this Jolly Rancher is trying to cut my jaw open. Here's the blurb. My name is Logan. I run Reef Rookies, the most respectful reef keeping community on the internet. Oh, by the way, side quest. We have 25% of the members in our Facebook group are women. And we are trying really hard to provide a space where women feel respected and feel comfortable to share their experiences with us and all of that stuff. My wife is an admin of our Facebook group. We are going to be adding more moderators who are women in our Facebook group. So if you're a woman and you don't feel like you have a place, single women, oh, well, not a dating site, Trav. But if you're a woman and you feel like you don't have a place to go because you're always treated some kind of way because of that, my group will not be that way for you. You will find a better experience there. There's a couple of other places that are like women-only reefing groups and stuff. Totally cool. Respect the heck out of that. But our space is also going to be that. So anyway, back to my blurb.
Not just women, but
Not just women, no, but I guarantee that we have a higher percentage of women actively contributing in our group because they feel like they can do so than some of the other groups out there. And also, if that's a problem for you, maybe my group isn't for you. Just saying. But anyway, so back to my blurb. I'm Logan. I run Reef Rookies, all that stuff I just said. You can find out all the places we hang out and whatnot at reefrookies.com. We are on Facebook. We have a Discord server, TikTok, Instagram, obviously, as well. I do one-on-one reef tank consultation. So if you have something going on with your tank or you're brand new and you just want to talk to somebody, I do that as well. That can be booked through the website. And I do 3D printed items like light shades and other things for fish tanks that just help your life out, test kit organizers and stuff like that. So check out the 3D prints. I have merchandise as well, like this shirt here. Yo, Peter Wells just jumped in at the Regal Tang supporter level. So listen, Peter, while I've got you in the chat, at that level, you get some free swag from my merchandise store, which I was about to make a plug about. So what I need you to do, Peter, is to go to the website, go down to the merchandise section of the website, find a shirt or a hoodie or a ball cap or something that you want, screenshot exactly what you need, your size, coloration, and all that stuff, and email that screenshot to the email that was just dropped into the chat. And we will get that sent out to you. And we might even put a little extra freebie in there. Oh, no, we can't because we don't ship the shirts.
no,
We don't ship them from here. So I can't do the freebie thing. But you get the freebie, the swag anyway for joining at the Regal Tang member. And listen, man, thank you tremendously. That means an absolute ton. So yeah, thank you. Great to see ladies in the hobby. Absolutely. Listen, man, some of the most competent, amazing reef keepers out there are ladies. It's a hobby for everybody. And I don't know how we get away from that sometimes in some of these other spaces. But anyway, we're going to be celebrating the women reefers in our group for sure. No doubt. Kimberly says, I will be turning my 16 into a Xenia tank. Very cool.
Love it. So
Yeah.
Make sure she puts it in the.
My wife said to make sure you put it in the group.
Right.
Yeah, because we know you're in there. I don't know if you knew, Kimberly, but there is a red pulsing Xenia as well. So dig around a little bit about that too. You can get like the whiter ones, the sort of light gray. There's a purple and there's a red. And when you get them all in there together, man, it looks awesome. Did you see my woman's post today? I did not. Was it in our group? Oh, somebody said something about you being on camera with me, babe. The Jakes said your wife should co-present with you. She doesn't like the camera. She comes and sticks her head in every now and then, but
Like a frightened deer, yeah.
she said she looks like a frightened deer. I don't think so, but she doesn't like being behind the camera. Yeah, no, Kimberly, I don't know what that post was about. I haven't seen that yet, but that's very cool. But coffee time. If you're new here, and this is the first time you've been hanging out with us or whatever, I do this every Sunday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. We just hang out and we talk about reef keeping. It's never formatted or anything. We just chill, hang out with each other, and talk about tanks and stuff. If you have questions, I'll answer them. Make sure that you're subscribed here to the YouTube channel. And yeah, that's what we do. Got a lot of cool things coming up soon that I can't talk about yet. Several projects that we need to get finished and stuff to work on. And nope, never mind. I'm not going to say it. What happened?
Nothing. I did.
Oh.
See it.
Okay. My wife said that she saw the post.
Yeah, I forgot. I went back and checked this now, but I had seen it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen it yet, but I'll go take a look. Charles has the red pulsing zinnia, slower grower than the pink. Interesting. We're definitely going to have to try to get some red if we, not we, I don't have a lizard in my pocket. If she sets up her softy tank. Oh, man. So let's talk about, hey, Chris, what's going on? We're just hanging out and talking about tanks. So we still haven't made any progress on the big, massive, 1,800 gallon tank, whatever it is yet. The first thing that we have to do, which I have now found out, is got to come before what we thought used to be first. We have to get the soil basically tested underneath the house to make sure that the compressive strength of the soil could even support like a direct placement of 20,000 pounds. Because that tank's going to be very heavy. So we have to get the soil looked at first. And at the same time, we have to get the slab under the house looked at as well to see if we can even do this. Because we may not be able to do it. And if we can't do it, I'm going to try to find out like what we can do. Like how big can I go? So there's a lot of factors at play, a lot of things, happening there. So I don't know what's really going to happen with that, but we'll get there one day. We'll find out. It may be that I can only go 2 feet wider on either side of the main display. So this is a 6 foot and I've got room here for a 10-foot display. So I might could do, like a 10-foot 450 or something like that. We'll just have to see. I don't know. But we're going to do something. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do, and I think this is a really cool idea, and we have a spot here that we could potentially do this in along the outside wall of our house right here. Let me show you. So it would be from that corner all the way down the wall to over here by the front door. It's like 16 feet, right? And it would be a paludarium on one end, so terrestrial, with plants or like mangroves and other plants and driftwood and stuff like that on one end. All the way down across the tank to like a swamp area almost that's like really shallow, like an inch, half inch, with sand that makes a beach for like mud skippers and stuff. So there would be like vampire crabs and lizards and stuff on one end, right? And then mud skippers and fiddler crabs and other things like that in the super shallow water. And then it would go down further and it would become a shallow, like tide pool reef. So there'd be like rock flower anemones and zoas and things like that in the tide pool area. And then all the way at the other end would be a deeper section that it went down to, where it would be like a normal coral reef like you would see in a tank. And then all the way at the very end, it would be a drop down system. So it would be everything all the way from the terrestrial side of the coast all the way to a drop down reef on the other end over like a 16-foot long span of space. But the whole thing wouldn't be water. So, you know, I mean, it would be crazy to do something like that, you know. Okay, we got a couple things going on here. Let's see. Soil's bad. We're moving. New to reef keeping, learned a lot off of you over the past few weeks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Graham. Nice to have you hanging out here with us in the chat. Keep the addiction strong. In addition, oh, okay, yeah. Cool, Andrew. Thanks for hanging out for a little while, man. Just finishing up the nitrogen cycle on my first tank. Do you find it common in the hobby that I already want to start another one? And any tips on convincing the wife that would be a good idea? I don't have any tips.
Tips on
My wife is saying tips on the wife.
Let her choose everything that's going to go into.
Let her choose everything that's going to go into the second tank.
We always get that question, and
Yeah, we do.
thinking about it.
We get that question every time,
Right.
yeah, and that's what she said. Yes, I do find it incredibly common that people want to set up multiple tanks. We actually have a term for that. It's called multiple tank syndrome, and I have it. Like I said earlier, I'm ready to start taking some tanks down. Any recommendations for a larger ATO reservoir? I empty my 5-gallon bucket in 4 days, no trash cans or buckets. It's in my living room. So what I saw somebody do once upon a time is they got a piece of furniture that went next to the tank, and it had one of those foot things. What do you call the foot thing? Ottoman. Thank you. At the end, right? And they put a plastic tote inside the ottoman, and it just stayed pushed right up next to the front of the chair and had the pump line running out underneath the chair and behind the tank to fill up the ATO. It held like 15 gallons. So that was one thing I saw that was really like ingenuitive, you know, like hide the ATO inside the ottoman. So that was pretty cool. I saw another person do the same thing. They just use a 15-gallon barrel, and they stood it up next to the tank, put a round piece of wood on top of it, and put a tablecloth over it. So it looked like a decorative table. They had a plant on top of it, and once every 2 weeks, they took the plant off, removed the lid, filled the drum up, and then put it back. And so it just looked like an end table next to the aquarium. So disguising it might be the way to go. Let's see. So would the ATO start on the reptile side as a rainforest? Yes, it would. That was exactly what I was thinking about doing with it. Not only that, but there would be like specifically built areas that had like salt water trickling down and things like this. But my plan for the short amount of time that I thought about it was where that takes place was to have the ATO run freshwater to freshwater, kind of flush the salt and stuff away. You know, I don't know. It would be super awesome, you know. If the entire thing was even enclosed, it could even have birds in it. You know, little finch birds. My wife said she wants birds. She doesn't want birds.
I don't want to take care of birds.
She doesn't want to take care of birds. Yeah. Would you recommend a 40 breeder or a 50 to 55 gallon aquarium for a new hobbyist? I keep hearing they are the best and each one is better than the other. 40 breeder by far. 60 breeder would be even better. And the reason is footprint. 55 gallon tanks, standard 55 gallon tanks are real skinny. They're only 12 inches front to back. So there's not a lot of room in there for a nice rock structure that has any depth to it, right? So 40 breeder is 18 inches front to back and also 18 inches tall. The reason that 55-gallon aquariums were made is because looking at them from the front, they look like a bigger tank than they really are. So that's why they made them that shape. But they're super skinny, so they're real sort of wiggly, and I don't like that. Not when you're talking about a couple 100 pounds of water and rocks and all that stuff. So yeah, 40 breeder, 60 breeder would be even better. If you're looking at getting a brand new setup, go to www.seacardinal.com. It's a partner brand of mine, and we have a 35 and a 50-gallon lagoon reef ready setup that comes with everything you need to get started, even the salt. The only thing it doesn't have is rocks, sand, and test kits. You have to get those yourself because those are very personal choices. But yeah, go check them out. They're a lagoon style tank, so they're a little skinny, a little shorter, but they're wider and longer. So they lots of dimension, lots of depth in the tank front to back to make a nice rock structure that moves and looks good. So anyway, yes, that's what I would say. Red Sea has some plastic containers that are tall, not wide. Yeah, they do. They're like 4 or 5 inches wide. They're real skinny and they fit right down inside next to the sump or something. Is there a special process to putting mollies in the tank, or do you just acclimate them and chunk them? That is hotly debated in the hobby. People have tried it multiple different ways. What I have had the most success with is about a 6 to 8 hour drip acclimation from freshwater to full saltwater in that amount of time. And then once they're there, you just put them in the tank. Some of them probably aren't going to make it because mollies are incredibly highly inbred in the hobby. And so a lot of them are probably sick or probably not going to live very long anyway. But that's what I've had the best success with. I have heard people just dunking them in the marine water, just straight in, bloop, and they live. And then I've heard people drip acclimating them and they died. So it's hard to say, but I would at least drip them for a little while. Oh man, Andrew, you've been taking all your tanks down and revamping. Sheesh. What's that? Oh, Wild Man. If you need anyone to give them to, I will take it. Yeah, I hear you. Andrew recommends the 40 breeder as well. Yep, probably same reason. Same thing I said. I love birds, just not in my house. Put a raccoon in it. In the paludarium? Yeah, that would be funny. Yeah, it probably wouldn't be a very happy raccoon in a saltwater environment. Now you sound like Ants Canada. I have heard of them. Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. God, why does the universe keep doing that? We were just talking about him in our moderator chat the other day. He got me into trying to keep ants, and you want to talk about another hobby that's a money pit is freaking ant farms, dude. Yeah.
I forgot about the ants.
I didn't forget about them. I was successful. I was able to get a queen fire ant out of my driveway and put her in a tube, and she laid eggs, and the first generation hatched. But I was not successful getting them past that. It's a lot harder to grow ants than you think. But so anyway, yes, I have heard of Ants Canada. The dude makes amazing content, absolutely amazing. His video on the self-sustaining ecosystem is incredible. If you guys haven't seen that, you should go find it. It was a vampire crab habitat that he built, and he wanted it to be completely self-sustaining. So he built the habitat and he was feeding the crabs, but he wanted to put something in there that would breed and feed the crabs. So he found this lizard or this gecko or something that would basically, they were all female. They would lay eggs, and the eggs were all viable. So all the little lizards were clones. And so these lizards went in there. They would lay the eggs, have the babies, and the babies would feed the crabs. And it was just this rolling ecosystem that became totally self-sufficient over time. Like the numbers of crabs and numbers of lizards matched just right and all that. So if y'all haven't seen that video, go make it. And his video making skills are also friggin' astonishing. I mean, the dude's channel is serious goals. It's, you know, I'd like to be to that level one day. I have a 160-gallon tank and a 40 sump not set up yet, but there isn't room if I leave the 40-gallon. Does it matter how big your sump is, just as long as it has a filtration? No, it doesn't matter. So your sump only has to be big enough to hold the equipment that you want to put in the sump. That's it. If you can do that with a 20-gallon, that's fine. If you do it with a 40, that's fine too. So it doesn't have to be a certain size. Now, refugium is completely different. Refugium tanks, I mean, honestly, you can't go too big. As big as you can go on a refugium, the bigger the better. But yeah, calottes. Look that up, please.
Huh?
Calot, C-A-L-O-T-E-S. Calottes would be cool in a mangrove tank, specifically the Calottes Versicolor. What is that? We're looking that up. Okay, let's see. Why do we mix water to 35 ppt, but natural seawater is higher? Would I have to dilute my natural seawater? So natural seawater is usually 35 to 36 ppt. I'm not really sure. It could sometimes go up to 37, maybe, depending on the salinity of the geographical region that you're in. But it shouldn't be much higher than that. And no, usually people who use actual natural seawater, they don't dilute it most of the time, at least from what I've been told. I don't use it, so I'm not 100% sure. I know my granddaughter wants to start her an ant farm. I've been doing research. I thought it would be less expensive, but it's not. No, it isn't. It isn't. Ant farms, although I have 3D printers now.
Oh, God. 2 hobbies at a time.
Oh, man. My wife has limited me to 2 hobbies at a time. For good reason. But anyway, let's see. They have furniture to hide cat litter boxes, and they can be, oh, yeah, that's true, too. Hello. Let's see. Morning geckos. Oh, pretty cool. You want a sump to be able to take the excess water when your tank shuts off so it doesn't overflow if you lose power. That's very true. That's very true. Yeah, I tend to only run my sumps about half full of their total volume capability so that I have room for that drain back if the return pump quits. Okay, otherwise we have 47 hobbies going all at once everywhere in the house. Yes, that's true. That's true. I don't have time for any more hobbies. Fast Eddie said, hey man, what's going on? I got the blue hippo 2 days ago and it looks like it was stuck and died under the rock. Yeah, that's possible. I would definitely try to get it out if you can. His next project is about lagoon and mangrove swamps with tides. Very nice. Very cool. My big tank, in fact, I had a similar idea. If I'm ever able to do this, like really massive tank in here that I want to do, it's an L-shaped tank. And both ends of the L shape are going to have an overflow. And both ends of the tank are going to have return nozzles connected to their own. We disconnected for a minute. I think we're back. So my plan is to run the tank in a tide simulation as well. So when one return pump is on, it's flowing into the tank at one end and out of the tank at the other end. So there's an entire flow through the tank in one direction. And then every 6 hours, that's going to switch and it will move the flow in the other direction. So it'll pump back in on this side and overflow from the other side. And it'll flip back and forth like that every 6 hours. So that's the idea anyway. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do that one day. Let's see. On a 99 gallon, never heard of a 99. Did you mean 90 gallon? Would you recommend going bigger on the sump or it's not needed? I mean, bigger is relative. You know, if you can do anything, you know, like a 30 or a 40 gallon sump, you're going to be good. Not going to be a problem there. What are some good low profile protein skimmers? I think the max is like 22 inches. Oh, um, most skimmers are taller than they are wide. I don't know, honestly, right off the top of my head. I would have to dig into it a bit to try to see. There was some Reef octopus skimmers there for a while that were like really big around, but not that high. But I don't remember exactly what the model numbers and stuff are. They may not even be made anymore. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I would have to look into the specs of the skimmers to try to find some. The Daily Driver says, this is my first marine setup, currently in cycle. My water's very cloudy. Can you help? So if it's white cloudy, you're probably experiencing a bacterial bloom. If it's green cloudy, it's probably an algae bloom. In either case, turn the lights off for 3 to 4 days. And then after that, do a water change. Who is saying, oh, never mind. I know what just happened. Yeah, so lights off for 3 or 4 days. After that, do a water change, see if that stops it. If that doesn't stop it, it could also be sand to dust, in which case your filtration would remove if you have that turned on and stuff. But yeah, it's hard for me to know absolutely for sure. For a 55-gallon, do I need 2 wave makers or just 1? 2 is better. 3 or 4 small ones would be even better than 2. More small wave makers is better than 1 big one. So I would pick at least 2, but maybe 3 or 4 little ones, and do that instead of just 1 big one. My tank is in cycle right now. Oh yeah, you said white cloudy. So white cloudy is either going to be dust from the sand, or it's going to be a bacterial bloom, one or the other. Or I guess
you accidentally added carbon also with biomedia.
You accidentally added carbon also with biomedia. Okay, so take the carbon out. You don't need that in there right now. I guess it could also be, it technically could possibly be calcium precipitation as well, if your salinity and stuff is incorrect. So make sure the way that you're checking your salinity is a good one. What are you using? Just curious. No, unfortunately, I don't let people join the lives with me. That doesn't often work out very well. But if you want me to take a look at it, you can find me on Facebook, through my group, Reef Rookies with Logan, or go to my website, send me an email, something like that, and I'll take a look at it. Let's see. I'm weird. I don't really use power heads, maybe 1 for extra flow. I feel like a lot of people overdo flow. Of course, every tank is different. Yep, every tank is different. And I mean, you can get away from using power heads if you do have enough flow from other sources. And obviously you do, because, you're growing corals and stuff like that. But any recommendations for a wave maker for a 15-gallon all-in-one? My current wave maker is only 1 speed and not variable. Yes, Chris, go to my website, reefrookies.com. Go to the Amazon product recommendations tab. Go down to wave makers. There's a little bitty Higer wave maker in there. It's 660 gallons per hour. I think it's like $40 or something like that. One of those is perfect for a 15-gallon tank. I actually have one on my 22-gallon tank. It's literally perfect. So yeah, go find that little dude and order that using my link. I make a little bit, makes Jeff Bezos share. And I think you'll be happy with it. It's got a couple of different little modes that you can put it through, like a pulse mode. You can set the speed and the power of it, things like that. It's just a little USB plug-in. Has a little remote right on the end line part of it. Works very well. The Daily says salinity is 0.25. Do you mean 1.025? Or do you, okay. So yeah, let's clarify that first. I agree the Higer Nano would be great. Yeah, but you have to specify which one. There's 2. The Hydra Nano comes in 660 or 1050 gallons per hour. I'm talking about the 650 gallon per hour one. Oh, there was another one the other day on that list that was 660. Hang on one second. Let's look at that list, baby.
I'm pulling it up.
Everybody just bear with me for a minute. I didn't even know. I think it was Current USA, maybe. Yeah, the eFlux Nano. Let me see if that's the one. Yes. So there probably, if you want a better quality wave maker and you don't mind spending a little bit more money, Chris, on that same list, look under Current USA. They have one called an eFlux Nano, and it does anywhere from 130 gallon per hour all the way up to 660. It's a little bitty power head, but Current USA is a really nice company. So, and it has more controllability than the Higer. It's about double the price. It's like $80. Yeah. So if you want a nicer one, you can go there. But if you're a budget type of person, just want some flow, you can go with the Higer. Went shopping and forgot about this. We'll need to watch from the beginning. Well, that's very cool. Fast Eddie says, what's your favorite fish and why? Curious. You have nice corals and fish. Thank you. I appreciate that. I actually don't have a favorite fish. It's really hard for me to say that I have a favorite because I like them all. That's the honest truth. I really don't have a favorite. I do tend to really enjoy tangs, but I don't have one singular favorite. What settings do you recommend for wave maker settings? I'm currently on push-pull with 2 heads. That is a difficult question to answer because it's all based on flow in the tank and what the tank is doing. So typically the way that I like my wave maker set up is on a push-pull like you were talking about, or a gyre setting where one goes and then the other one goes and then this one goes and then the other one goes, like that. That creates a random turbulence in the tank. It's not just always going like this in the same direction. This one goes and then that one goes, and when they collide, they just spin and flip and turn all around all over the place. That's what we're looking for. You know, we want that random turbulence. Another thing that your flow is supposed to do is lift detritus up off the sand bed. So that's why sometimes it's better to have the wave maker down a little bit lower, aimed up at the tank, up at the top, because it creates an upward flow path. Flow is a very difficult one to do. That's why I haven't done a video on flow yet. But at Reef Retreat in 2 weeks, there's going to be someone there, an expert, presenting on reef tank flow. So I'm hoping that I will be able to see that presentation and put something together where I can make a video out of it. Maybe that'll do something in the brain. Connie says, which wave maker would you suggest for a 60-gallon cube, and would you put 1 or 2? I need to change mine out. I would definitely go with 2. For a 60 cube, I would go with, on my Amazon product list, there is a range of JECOD, JECOD. They got one called a DMP. So one of those links is a link to the Amazon thing, and there's a whole bunch of them. And it's a DMP 20 up to like a DMP 55. I would probably go with like 2 of the DMP 30s and put them on the 2 sides of the tank, or maybe put them both on the back, in the back corners, left and right corner, you know, a third of the way down, something like that, and just let them alternate the flow in the tank in a horizontal fashion. Those are really good pumps. They're a ripoff of the Ecotech, the Vortex from Ecotech, but they're really good. They're really good pumps. So that's what I would recommend for you, Connie. I think those are very good. They're not really, they're a budget, they're mid-tier, I would say. They're not super cheap, but they're not like Vortex cost. I'm very down with my tank right now. It's already 7 days past. Still cycle is not completed. Ammonia is always 0. Nitrite 0.2. Nitrate is 0. Very confused. So Daily, has your tank been cycling 7 days? Is that what you're saying? Like you set it up and it's been going for 7 days? Let me know. To me, fish are a pain. I love my corals. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. Josh said it's part of the tank cycling. Turn the lights off, let it do its thing. True. Need your advice. This will help people. I have flatworms. Okay, Daly, I see your yes. I'll come back around to that in just a second. I have flatworms, a lot of tiny ones on the glass. How to get rid of them without crashing the tank. So you can use a product called Flatworm Exit to kill them, but you need to be ready to suck them out of the tank immediately, like with an airline or something. Create a little siphon drain and suck them out as they're dying. Some flatworms are toxic, and sometimes it's hard to ID which ones you have. So it's best to be cautious about it. Also, when you're doing that, run activated carbon in the tank at the same time. It will not suck up the medication. Well, it might a little bit, but the medication is still going to do its job, but the carbon will also help suck up the toxins. That is the easiest, best way to get rid of flatworms, unless you want to add a 6-line or an 8-line RAS, but some people don't have a tank that can do that. So the daily driver, listen up. So your tank is only 7 days old. Your nitrogen cycle could take up to 6 weeks. So don't get discouraged. It's all part of it. Immediately after the nitrogen cycle, you're going to go into a second phase of that tank's life, and we call that the ugly phase. Then the tank is going to turn brown, and then you're going to have to get through that as well. So reef keeping is a game that is all about patience and dedication to the final outcome. It is not uncommon for nitrogen cycles to take 4 to 6 weeks to establish. 7 days is incredibly fast. The fastest I've ever been able to do it was 4 days, and I've got 28 years experience. Most of my tanks take about 14 to 21 days to fully cycle. So you're just right in the very beginning. So don't get discouraged. Just understand that this is a part of the process. However, having said that, if your ammonia is at 0 and there are no fish in the tank, it's going to have a really hard time going through the nitrogen cycle. So if there's fish in there, you want that ammonia to stay at 0. So just let it do its thing over time, and the nitrates will begin coming up. If there are no fish, then you're doing a fishless nitrogen cycle, and you need to introduce an ammonia source. You can do that by ghost feeding the tank and putting fish food in there and letting it break down. Or you can add literal ammonia from a bottle. You can get ammonium chloride. Brightwell has one called Quick Cycle. Fritz has one called Fishless Fuel. You can get those, and you can put that ammonia in the tank and bring that ammonia level up to 1 or 1.5 ppm, and then add bacteria like Microbe Lift and Night Out 2, something like that, and get the tank to go through a fishless nitrogen cycle. But yeah, you're right in the beginning, man. Almost nobody can cycle a tank in 7 days, unless you use like nothing but live rock from the ocean and stuff, and then it's basically cycled on day 1. But anyway, let's talk about what else we got going on here. I have marine velvet in my tank. I am taking all the water out and replacing it. That is not going to solve marine velvet in your tank, my friend. I have a video on marine velvet on my YouTube channel. You need to go watch that video. Taking that water out and replacing it isn't going to fix that problem. There's other things that you're going to have to do to stop that velvet in your tank, and it's a lot to go into here in the live stream. That's why I made a video about it. So if you would, if you don't mind, go check that video out. It will give you all the information that you need about velvet and how to fix it. All right, moving on. Nick says, new tank and sump, 2 weeks, wet rock, sand from the Gulf. Do I need a skimmer yet, or should I wait to add stock? No, if you used wet live rock and sand from the Gulf, I'd get some fish in there right now. Yeah, I would. Now, skimmer, that's totally up to you. Some people run a tank for 20 years and never put a skimmer on it. That's your call. I always add my skimmer immediately after the nitrogen cycle. Let's see what else we got. My new 180 is 4 months old. How long do you think I got left to add acros and be okay? All levels are stable. Will this be your first corals that you have ever taken care of? Just curious. Jolly Rancher time.
We have 50 minutes left.
50 minutes. All right. Nick says corals and cleanup crew on the way. Cool. Yeah, get the corals and cleanup crew in there and add a couple small fish. That's a cool deal. Okay, so thanks a lot. So just put the carbon in the canister. You can do that, or you can just hang a bag of carbon inside the tank. Either way is fine. Josh says, my tank doesn't stay clear unless I have the skimmer online. Yeah, some tanks are like that. MPH, I have LPS, torches, hammers. All are growing in a different tank. I really haven't messed with acros. Okay, so I just wanted to know if you've had other corals before. 4 months in, I would say it's okay, probably, given that you have experience with other corals, but make no mistake, acros are unforgiving. They are the hardest type of coral to keep, in my opinion, other than non-photosynthetic corals. Acros prefer the tank to be low nutrient, very low, like 5 ppm nitrate, 0.03 phosphate, and rock solidly stable. They do not like parameter changes. They don't like temperature changes or lighting changes or any changes for that matter. They hate everything changing. And you can have acros in a tank that looks absolutely gorgeous, go to bed, and it's fine, and wake up the next day, and all of your corals are dead and white. It can happen that fast. So just be forewarned. Probably before I jumped straight into Acropora from what else you're already doing, I would recommend going with some of the more easy SPS stuff like Montipora, digitata, Stylopora, Pasillopora. Those would be good choices. Seriatopora, bird's nest coral. Or you could even do some, this is all one word, Anacropora, A-N, Acropora. You could do those. Those are going to be a lot more forgiving than the true Acropora, like Acropora tenuis or some of the other ones that are where they start with Acropora. I have several in my tank that are doing quite well, but over the last few days, well, really over the last couple of weeks, I'm adjusting my parameters. I'm raising my phosphate, trying to drop my nitrate a little bit, and raising my salinity. And I'm doing it very, very slow through 1 ounce at a time, pretty much additions from my ATO. And my dosers are dripping like 1 milliliter at a time. And my acros are kind of mad. So be careful with that. I have an Apex on this system to monitor basic stuff. I have some Monty Stylos, okay, in the other tank, and those are doing good, and you're seeing growth. Okay, cool. So then, I mean, you're right there. It's just 4 months is kind of questionable for acros to go in that tank because it's still somewhat young. But if it's stable, it's probably okay. Usually a good indicator if a tank is ready to have harder to keep SPS and Acropora in it is when the tank finally starts growing coralline algae. Once you can see that coralline popping up in little pink specks all over the tank, it's pretty well stabilized. Well, so if that's not happening yet, I would give it a couple more months, and just keep it stable and see how it goes. Do you use anything when you make video when your lights are blue? Because with my phone, it looks blue and annoying. I use this. See? See how that goes? So this one is from Ice Cap. There's also Orfec ones and even just cheap Amazon ones that you can get. I have the yellow and orange lenses stacked together on this Ice Cap one. I can't get them apart. There's 2 lenses on there. See that? So yeah, this is what you can use. You just clip this. Look, I can do it like this. Clip it right to the phone, and now look at the tank. Well, it won't focus, but what? How did I do that? I don't know. Oh, I think
It might be because you have that thing on it.
yeah, it might be. Yeah,
It's your face.
all right, hang on. Hang on. It won't, it keeps zooming in. Stop. Oh my God. Okay. I think we got it. I don't know what that was. It did say zoom. All right, so let's go back and catch up on a couple of other things. Don't see any purples yet. Yeah. What are your thoughts on auto water changers? I got an ATO AWC for my new tank. So I like them if the tank is in a place where it can support having those water changes done automatically like that. If your nitrate and phosphate are at a steady level or slowly increasing and you can do those water changes to help control that, it's good. If your nutrients are bottomed out or if they're trending down like mine are right now, well, they're not now because I'm dosing them, but they were, then you really can't use that. So it's all situationally dependent. But I do like, well, ATO is totally different than AWC. So ATO is automatic top off. Absolutely, every tank should have one of those. It's going to replenish the water in the tank, keep evaporation from being a problem. But an AWC is situationally dependent. It depends on what you got going on with your tank. Thanks for the advice. Yeah, happy to do so. And listen, if you guys want to have more in-depth conversations about anything that we talk about in the live streams, you know, like the automatic water changers or when to put acros in a tank or anything like that, I do one-on-one consultations. You can find them on my website, reefrookies.com. Click the consultations button, and there's several options to choose from there. And yes, I do ask that you pay me for that. But so it's there. I mean, you don't have to use it if you don't want to. I still put out free content all over the place, but it's there if you want it. Lil Gary says, so I got velvet with 2 clownfish. I didn't QT. Well, that is a mistake. I'm taking all of the water out. Oh, okay. I got 28 gallons of mixed salt water, and I have some salt to add with water because I have 40-gallon breeder. When can I put fish? Also, the pre-mixed water has beneficial bacteria. So it sounds like to me that you're doing a full reset on the tank. So if you're doing a full reset, you're taking everything out, rock, sand, all that, cleaning everything, setting it back up, then you're going to go back through another nitrogen cycle again and all of that. If you're not, and you're only talking about changing the water out, then when you change the water out, you're going to have to let that tank not have any fish in it for 76 days. You can speed that up a little bit if you increase the temperature up to 83, but I'd still let it go for 76 days. Zoom fever. Yeah, I don't know what the world is going on with that. Jason says, are powder blue, powder browns known to be less problematic than hippos? No, they're known to be just as sassy as hippo tanks. They're just about equally as susceptible to ick and velvet and other things. And they're also kind of mean. Having said that, I want a powder brown. It's one of the last fish that I would like to add to this system. I want to get a copper band butterfly and a powder brown and maybe a couple anthias and maybe a couple wrasses, and then I'm done. But yeah, no, they're definitely not, they're like easier than hippos. It's an ATO AWC combo, 3 pumps. Oh, okay. I know which thing you're talking about, I think. I got you. Yeah. That's pretty cool deal. So Auto Aqua, yep. Time is worth a lot in this hobby. Good to know. Definitely. This hobby is all about time. It's about timing when you can do certain things, when you can't do things, how long a thing needs to take place is what I was trying to say. I'll be right back. Yeah, everything in this hobby is all about time. Coral growth, it takes years to grow corals out from frags to full colonies that you then have to start worrying about fragging, And I mean, obviously it depends on the coral. Some corals grow much faster than others, but in general, like with Acropora, if you start from little 1.5, 2-inch frags, you're not going to be to the point of fragging those things for at least a year, maybe 2 years. Some of them even 3 or 4, depending on what they are. And when you're talking about stuff like fish pathogens and things like ick and velvet, stuff like that, time is everything. Everything has a life cycle that it has to go through, and some of that stuff you just can't speed up. Are coral beauties good to have in a reef tank? Questionable. It's debatable. I have had them. I've had several of them. My last one decided it wanted to eat corals, and once they decide they want to, you can't stop them. So it's 50-50 shot with those and flame angels and rusty angels. Same thing. All the pygmy angelfish, and even the big angelfish and tangs. I mean, sometimes tangs will start eating corals, and once they start, you can't stop them. How difficult are clams? I love the look, but I don't know what it takes to keep them healthy. I am not a clam expert. Clams are never something that I really dug into because of how difficult most of them are to keep. Let me put it to you this way. My ATO kicked on. Sorry. Let me put it to you this way. There are some clams that Andrew Sandler at Polo Reef, with a team of people, one of whom is a marine veterinarian, can't keep. I don't recall which ones they are, but usually people have pretty good results with Maxima clams in a reef tank. They seem to be the easiest ones to keep. You're going to have to dose live, phytoplankton for them and stuff like that. So be sure you're prepared for all that. Most reef keepers don't have good success over a long-term period of time with clams. They are hard. Eddie says, I did the water change and got advice from you Friday about carbon, when to clean the canister. Oh, yeah, I remember that. When should I test my water after doing all that water change? 24 or 48 hours later, something like that. Test and see where things are. So that was Friday. Today's Sunday. You can test today, see what it looks like. Would a sand sifting goby do well in a freshly cycled tank in the ugly phase? Only if it is also eating prepared food. Otherwise, wait 6 to 8 months before you put that sand sifting or any other sand sifters in there for that matter. When they sift the sand, they're not trying to get the detritus that's in the sand. They're trying to get the copepods and isopods and what's the other one? Ostracods and the little bugs, the bacterial plankton, basically. What's the word for those little dudes? Anyway, you get where I'm coming at. Copepods. Anyway, I was trying to think of the word, but I can't think of the word I was trying to think of. Copepods, isopods, baby amphipods, ostracods, those kinds of things. That's what the diamond goby is trying to get. And most of the sand sifters, that's what they're after, not the detritus. So Eddie says my nitrate was 25, was just going up. That was because I never cleaned the canister. Yep. Arthropods. That was not the word I was trying to think of either. It's like plankton, but it's not bacterioplankton. That's obviously bacteria. It's microplankton maybe or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You guys know what I'm talking about. They are arthropods, though. They're marine arthropods. But anyway, yeah, Fast Eddie, any tank that has a canister filter on it, you're going to have to clean that thing regularly. You know, I usually recommend once a week, clean it out. A lot of people ask about the bacteria in the filtration. Is it okay to clean it because you're going to lose it? And yes, it absolutely is. Because most of the concentration of the bacteria in our tanks is in the rocks and the substrate. What's in the canister filter is far less in concentration than those other things is. So cleaning that thing out weekly doesn't hurt the bacteria at all. Crazy how a canister filter is a fire and forget thing for fresh water, but not salt water. Yeah, absolutely. Now,
Are you dying?
yep. Sorry. Speaking like this for 3 hours straight is difficult. There are ways that you can set up canister filters for salt water where you basically set them up as a cryptic zone. So it's the canister that's pretty much filled with biomedia instead of like filters and stuff. So it would be like ceramic, carbon ceramic rings or ceramic balls or whatever. Some people used bio balls back in the day. They just fill the canister up with that and put the cap on it, never open it again. That's a different kind of thing. So when you have filters in there, you're going to have to open it up and clean it out. But if you set it up as a cryptic zone, then opening it up and cleaning it out is counterproductive, because in that case, you do end up stripping out the bacteria that you've been trying to grow that are specifically in that zone. On my 125 Oscar, I clean the canisters like once every other month. Yep, that's pretty common for freshwater, yeah. When I opened the canister, I had a lot of those white circle, white worms. Oh, yeah, spirorbid worms, yeah. Innovative sumps still ship with cotton bio balls. Cotton bio balls? Really? I didn't even know that was a thing still. Seachem matrix with polishing pads. Yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can do that. I would recommend, once a week, you open it up and you take those pads out and either rinse them in salt water and then put them back or just replace them. Any sort of filter pad type of situation like that, you're going to have to open that thing once a week and clean it out. My Jolly Rancher got stuck.
I'm sorry.
My wife's trying to get a pot out. It's just going to make some noise. Like pom-poms on a hat. Yeah, I know. I didn't realize they were still shipping their sumps with those. I didn't even know anybody was still using those things. Those things are like 15 years old. But hey, if it works. I have a 207 Pluval for my 40-gallon. That'll work. That'll work. Wildman says, could you offset any of the nutrients? I'm not sure what you're asking there, Wildman. Are you talking about like if you leave the canister and it begins creating those nutrients, could you offset them? I mean, maybe if you added enough coral load to the tank to suck them up. Or you could be running like some sort of a denitrification device or something like that, nitrate reactor or something. You probably could. But you end up fighting yourself. So you're creating nitrates and also removing them, and you have to try to balance those two things to keep the nitrates where they need to be. It would just be easier to only have to balance what the tank is producing on its own instead of everything else. Yeah, I guess they did, Willie. It's, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nick swapped his out with a filter sock. The holders, like they would be good for charcoal. Okay. Wildman hit the wrong button. Okay. When do you make this live so I know when to stop by? I do these on, I see what you're saying. I thought, never mind. I thought you meant coming here to my house. And I'm like, that's not really something I do. No, but every Sunday from 1 to 4 Central Standard Time is when I do these. And so we hang out here. I got a yellow striped rabbit snail from a local pond. Can I use aquarium medications, blue and yellow, to treat my water? I do not know. That sounds like fresh water. And that is not something, although rabbit snails are super cool. That's not something that I know very much about. I'm not a freshwater guy. I haven't been in freshwater for 28 years, actually longer than that. Because I got out of freshwater, there was a period of time where I didn't do any aquarium stuff, and then I got back into saltwater. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't have an answer for you on that one. Oh, it didn't mention time zone on the Facebook post. Oops.
Sorry.
Our bad. When you start up a new tank, how long do you wait before adding Chaeto to your refugium? So any macroalgae, you want to wait several months until the tank is stabilized and it gets to the point where it begins producing nitrates and phosphates. So if you put Chaeto or some other macro in the tank right off the rip, it's going to start sucking out all the nitrate and phosphate, and also nitrite, ammonia, and other elements and traces and minerals and stuff way too soon. So I never put any kind of macro in the tank before like 6 months. It's just not needed. Unless you set up a tank with live rock, live sand, all that, you pack it with corals, pack it with fish, all that kind of thing, then yeah. But if it's a tank that you're setting up and building over time, like 4, 6, 8 months before macroalgae goes in there. Now, that is not always the case. You can set a tank up with macroalgae right from the beginning, and you probably won't even see the nitrogen cycle happen because the macroalgae is going to suck it out. But you might end up in a situation where you're having to dose things right off the bat as well, nitrate, phosphate, and trace elements, to keep that macroalgae happy where it needs to be and grow. Mr. Monks, thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate that, my friend. Thank you for stopping by with the stream. We got 30 minutes left and we're going to be done, guys. And there's red beans on the stove and I'm literally salivating to get to them. Best way to start a planted tank forest from scratch. Going to have one next month. I assume you're talking about a freshwater planted tank. The only recommendation that I can give you is to do a lot of research on it. I can't tell you any more than that. We have a freshwater planted 5-gallon for our beta fish, which has passed, unfortunately. Rip, Sam. Hank. Sorry, we've had several. We go rescue the worst looking beta fish at like Petco, bring it home, rehab it, and keep it till it dies, and then we go get another one. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just don't have much information for you with freshwater. I mean, my bad. I just don't know. Given the choice, skimmer or refugium? Man, that's a tough one to answer. I do all kinds of things just happen in my brain just now. Ultimately, it depends on the type of tank that you're setting up. If it's going to be like an acro tank or something like that, skimmer all day long. If it's going to be just like a LPS or softy tank or whatever, refugium. Mixed reef, it could go either way. It really is situationally dependent. But I would generally say that I would prefer a skimmer over a refuge. It's a little more controllable than a refugium. But yeah, it just depends. Just depends. Got 3 of them. 2 of mine are the same. The betas, I mean. Oh, cool. Yeah, we've had several. It's time for us to go get another one. Nick says, thank you for your work. Well, I appreciate you, Nick. It means a lot. And listen, there's a lot of people in the chat right now. Maybe some of you have never seen me before. My name is Logan. I run Reef Rookies, the most respectful reef keeping community on the internet. I do reef keeping education like this on my YouTube channel, which you have now found me on. Be sure to subscribe. I have a website that shows all of the places that we hang out, Discord server, private Facebook group, very awesome spaces. I do one-on-one consultations if needed. You can find those on my website. I sell 3D printed aquarium stuff also on my website. And we do this stream every Sunday from 1 to 4 Central Standard Time. So yeah, click all the buttons and do all the things. And YouTube channel memberships are available as well. Or if you so choose, you can go through my website and set up a recurring subscription on the website and choose the amount that you want to donate to the cause over there. Because this is what I do now. This is my job. This is my career, helping people with their reef tanks. Ginger says no macro algae, even as a color pop decoration in your tank until 6 months. It's really dependent. If you have a tank that kicks off and then begins to have higher levels of nutrients, 20, 30 nitrate, 0.2, 0.3 phosphate, sure, you got plenty of room to add some macroalgae and it'll absorb some of those nutrients. But if you start your tank and get through the cycle, get through the ugly phase, and your nitrates and phosphates are just hanging down around 0, they don't want to come up, the rocks are sucking them up, in that situation, you would want to wait on the macro until it flips and the tank begins producing nitrates and phosphates. So it's all relative to what's going on with the parameters in the tank. Fast Eddie had a beta, 7 years, went on a date with my girl, got her beta. Ultimately, I think the beta died. The mother-in-law cleaned the tank and killed the fish. Dang, man. Hate to hear that. Willie dropped some good info about planted freshwater tanks. Very cool. Thank you so much. Or both, skimmer and refugium. Yeah, now we're talking. Both if the load is high, the bio load. Yep, Trav, I would agree. Yep, only one place in the sump. And brother gave me an octopus clone. My website is www.reefrookies.com. Yes. Dropped it in the chat there. Thank you, baby. Nick, octopus clone is probably the simplicity skimmer, I guess. It's a decent model. It's a decent skimmer. They do a pretty good job. And I mean, if you've got a spot in your sump where you can grow some macros and stuff like that, that's cool. How do we say your name? Jamora Cobra as well. Jamora Cobra as well. Cool person, whoever just said hi in the chat. Well, hey, back to you. We're kind of winding down at this point, guys. I'm kind of tired. My throat's kind of tired. Yeah, it always kind of slows down a little bit here at the end of the live streams because, yeah, it's just a lot. 20 more minutes. Yeah, we've been going for 2 hours and 37 minutes. So anyway, what other questions do you guys have about reef tanks? What is the benefit for copepods? Tons of benefits by adding copepods to your tank. They are micro cleaners, so they help keep your live rocks clean of like film algae and stuff like that. They are food for a lot of different organisms, especially some of your fish and things like that. Yeah, they're just they're really one of those things that is nothing but beneficial. Adding them to the tank in no way harms anything. There's no downside to adding copepods to the tank, and they're going to end up in there anyway, eventually, in the end. Oh my goodness. They're going to end up in there anyway in the end. So I dump a ton of copepods in my tank when cycling. I wouldn't do that. The ammonia is going to kill them most of the time. So I would wait till the ammonia has dropped to 0 before I dump them in. But yeah, after that, then just go ham. Go nuts on them. Is it worth growing them or too much work and better just to buy them? It's 100% worth culturing them yourself. You can buy one culture and then you can basically keep it going forever if you're really good at it. It's not that hard at all. And the setup for growing them is pretty cheap. Couple of glass, gallon jars. A plant growth light is all you need. Sometimes, it's better if you start growing phytoplankton first so that you can feed the phyto to the copepods. But yeah, if you want to get into culturing them, it's, you know, it's fine, but it's basically a whole other hobby aside from reef keeping, you know. Connie says, I keep dumping them in and my fish eat them right up. They can't even breed. They get eaten so fast. Yeah, that happens. So sometimes what people do is they set up a refugium even within the tank. So I've seen people use media baskets or like critter keepers with a bunch of holes in them and stuff, and they fill it up with live rock rubble. What I decided to do was in my refugium, I literally just got a bunch of live rock rubble and piled it up in the refugium. So there's no way that the fish can get to the inside areas of that rock pile. And so, you know, that's where the copepods breed and whatnot. Nick says, by cycling, I mean when I add wet rock from, okay. Well, yeah, that would be okay. Do you have a video how to grow them? I have a video on culturing phytoplankton. So if you look back in my videos list, it's quite an old video. Some of the Amazon links for the products have changed and aren't working anymore. But I have a video about culturing phytoplankton. There is well, no, it's not featured anymore. There's some people in the Facebook group who are very good at culturing copepods and stuff like that. So if you want to jump into the Facebook group, make a post about that, you know, that would be a good place to do that. Copepods are not that much different from culturing phyto. So that video would give you a good idea of what you're going to be in for, even when you're talking about pods, even though the video is about phyto, it's very close to the same. Do you keep any critters in your refugium? Yes, I have bubble-tip anemones. I have an alardi clownfish, a sailfin molly. I have other corals like zoanthids and stuff. About a half a dozen different kinds of macroalgae. What's up?
No, I was going to let you missed one, so I was asking about temperatures.
I missed one?
Yeah.
Hang on.
I didn't want to interrupt the one you were doing, though. So.
Temperature swing. Oh, here we go. Any recommendations for keeping temps stable? I notice a 1 to 2 degree differential throughout the day. So 1 to 2 degrees is a little more than I would like. 1, not. 2, that's a little much. Running more than one heater is one way to do that. Because like one big heater is going to heat the tank up too fast, and then it's going to have to cool, and then it's going to heat it up too fast and have it cool. So whenever I set up a tank, whatever wattage I determine in heaters that I need to run, I cut that in half, add 10%, and then run 2 heaters. So if I need 100 watts, I'll look for 2 60-watt heaters, for example, something like that. 2 heaters that kick on, stay on longer, and then kick off is better than one that's going to kick on, ramp the temperature up, and then kick off. But temperature stabilization is one of those things you just have to fine tune. You might find that whatever it is that you're using as your thermostat needs to be a better device, you know, so something like an Inkbird or a Helios aquarium heater thermostat might be something that you have to look into. Are there any other great water testers kits besides Hannah? Yes, Saltwater, Red Sea, JBL, Nios. That's about all I can think of right now. If you're asking about digital ones, no. All of those are water drop titration style color kits. Hannah has the corner of the market on digital kits right now, other than Neptune with the Trident and the NP for measuring calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, nitrate, phosphate. But that's all digital and very expensive. Kamoer, Kamoer, is working on some testing kits that are digital that hopefully will rival the Hannah, but as of yet, I haven't gotten my hand on one. Copepod hotels from Printed Reef are what I've got in the rear of my AIO. Yep, Yep, that's a good option. I really need to design a copepod hotel. Nios are the only ones I can read. Everything else is hard to read for me. Okay, cool. Yawning is contagious. Yeah. 22 hours 45. Why are you up so late, my friend? I have Salifert. They kick my butt using them. I have to use your test kit video every time I use it. You will get better. You will get better at using them. Man, I'm tired. Goodness gracious. Yeah. My snail's being funky over here. He might have kicked the bucket. I don't know. Anyway, sorry about the yards. Yeah. So what else we got? Let's get a couple more questions in. We got 15 minutes left, everybody. And then oh yeah, my voice. I'm so tired. I have throat issues, and it makes my voice hurt after I speak for a while. Makes my throat hurt, whatever, you know what I mean. What's a good hang on the back filter for a 40 breeder? I like the Aqua Clear brand of hang on the back filters. They make a really nice, like big, chunky filter. Tidal is also a good one. Tidal. So yeah, Aqua Clear and Tidal. Oh, you're still aquascaping 22 hours later? Dude, take a break. Go get some sleep. Come back to it the next day. 22 hours of aquascape, I'd be done. Although, about 3 weeks ago, I did stay up for like 27 hours straight when I decided about midday that I was going to go for an overnight fishing trip that night, and did it. I was up. I got out of the bed at like 7 that morning, and I was up all the way till like 10 or 11 o'clock the next day, something like that. After I went fishing all night long, Sichi makes a hang on the back. I didn't know that, but yeah, Aqua Clear and Tidal. I did. What lights do you run in the tank behind you? So this is the Galua. Let me say that again because it was cracking when I opened that thing. Dalua, Dalua, Illumagic X4 SPS Beast Mode Bundle. Yes, that's the entire name of the lighting system. It's got 4 of these X4s and 4 36-inch LED strips across the front, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. Excellent lights, lifetime warranty on lenses, and I think the diodes and stuff too. They are a top tier light, so the cost is quite high, but they're a great light. Let's see, for cleaning. Wait a minute. Time flies. Yeah, I'd be frustrated about that too. I heard that magic sponges are reef safe. Is that real? You talking about like Mr. Eraser? Yes, they are the original. All that is, let me save you a whole bunch of money. Mr. Eraser is a melamine sponge. MELAMINE. You can go on Amazon, type in melamine or melamine sponge, and get exactly the same thing for like 20% of what Mr. Erasers cost. They literally found that product, renamed it Magic Eraser, and put 2 in a box and sell that box for what they get a box of 200 of them for. So save you a bunch of money. Just go get plain melamine sponge. But yes, they are. It's just a it's just a type of sponge. It's a micro abrasive sponge, and yeah, they work great for cleaning glass and stuff like that. Let's see. I got some live rock, and it came with a free Aptasia. Would a filefish be an okay early addition? Yes, but they also sometimes eat corals. So just be careful with that. Emmanuel wants to know if the Daluas are better than the Radions. Well, that's a hard question to answer because you have to then define better. They have a different lighting spectrum. They have I don't know why I'm coughing so much today. I am sorry. They have a different lighting spectrum. They have a better warranty than the Radions. I find that the company is cooler to work with. They're more friendly to work with. One of the things that Radion does as a company, if you have multiples of their $1,000 lights and something happens to them, they will only deal with like one light at a time. You have to send one back, get it fixed, get it, then send the next one back, get it fixed, get it back, so on and so forth, because it's so expensive. What people who are studying these lights are actually finding out that the bang for buck that you get from the Radions is actually not that good. That's not to say that they're not amazing lights. They're very good lights. They have very good spectrums. They grow corals. The coloration of the corals is insane. But you pay a freaking premium for those. Are the Deluas better than the Radions? I can't say. I've never had Radions and I haven't tested them side by side. I don't know. But I like these Deluas. I will tell you that. 7 XR30s on an 8-foot tank. Very cool. Yeah. Yes, you can use the magic erasers without chemicals. Yep. I was using Pop Bloom lights, Hamilton. Or Hemi. Anyway, you know who I'm talking to. I was using Pop Blooms. I had 4 of the RL90s over this tank. I had them on there for about 18 months or so. But I'm a reef keeper, you guys. I like to upgrade my equipment and stuff. And I had an opportunity to go with these Deluas. Yes, there's a partnership there. No, they're not paying me to say anything. But they gave me the opportunity to install these on my tank. So I took that opportunity pretty much as anybody else would have, you know. So I still like the Pop Blooms. I kept them because if I ever set up a frag tank or something like that, I'm probably going to put the Pop Blooms on the frag tank. I still like them. They're still a good light, but the Deluas are superior to the Pop Blooms in every way. Mr. Monk says, I have just entered the dosing stage. Very cool. Me too, with this tank behind me. Yeah. My sand is always dirty. I don't really have any algae issues. I have a lot of cleanup crew. I siphon my sand every time I do a water change, but still no luck. So it depends how your sand is dirty. Jump into the Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. You can get there from my website, which is reefrookies.com. Post up some pictures of what you're seeing in the sand. So yeah, it's hard to know exactly what to tell you what to do until we identify what the problem is. The Aqua Clear is the best if you need the room. Yeah, Aqua Clear, the hang on the back, they got a big chunky like filter box on those things. If I was going to run hang on the back filters, it would be the Aqua Clears. Peppermint shrimp for aptasia over filefish because they eat the little ones fish can't. True, but also they eat corals. When they run out of aptasias, they can eat your corals, and they'll eat expensive corals too. What's your advice on growing pulsing zinnia or green metallic polyps or zoa and how to stick them on the glass or wash? Man, let me see if I can break this down. What's your advice on growing pulsing zinnia or green metallic polyps or zoas? Just a stable tank with the correct nutrients where they need to be. That's all you need to do for those corals. And a proper light, of course. Now, how to stick them on the glass or why I should not stick them on the glass. And the next person down says, Eddie, that should be the last thing that you should add because they take over your tank. That is partially true. They will take over a tank that is higher in nutrients than it should be. I have pulsing zinnia in that 3-gallon wine glass tank right there, and it is contained to the rocks and is not growing because that tank is nutrient limited. It does not have a lot of phosphate and nitrate in that tank, so they're not growing uncontrollably. That's the thing that people don't ever say when they're talking about those corals. Yes, they can take over a tank. If you put zinnia in a tank that has 25 nitrate and 0.25 phosphate, it's going to go nuts. But if you keep your nitrate and phosphate down at a reasonably low level, it's not going to do that. I would not put pulsing zinnia on the back wall because it's just going to be hard to keep it there. I'll show the wine glass tank as we're getting the stream, the last 5 minutes of the stream here. I'll show it again. But yeah, I don't typically do Zoas, zinnia, or anything like that on the back wall. Now, on this tank, I have a SPS type of coil glued to my overflow, and it's eventually going to take over the entire overflow. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, here's the wine glass tank. It's got a little tiny hang on the back filter right on the back. There's a heater down there under it. Yes, there's algae right there. I am so sorry, everybody. Hang on. Sorry about that, everybody. My dog lost his mind for a minute because someone is walking down the street. But this is also a Delua light. This is a Delua Illumagic Pixel, just a single in the Fragger coloration. And yeah, just a little tiny hang on the back. Nothing to it. It's got a little sponge filter right down there. It's basically just for the water flow. That's it. Pulsing zinnia is so cool. Super neat. But yeah, and then here's our little planted freshwater. Not a whole lot going on in there. That thing just does its own. Look at the little guys. Look at those. They're super cool. I love them little dudes. But that plant just floats around wherever it wants to go. And so, little planted freshwater tank. Hey, thank you, Mike, for becoming a Copepod supporter. I appreciate that so much. That really means the world to me. Absolutely. So anyway, yeah, cool. And these are the Deluas. I do not have the LED strips on right now because there's just a little too much par going into this tank at the moment. So I'm having to back the lights down a little bit to take some of the par out. Pygmy Cories. Yes, that's what they were. How dare they walk on his street? Absolutely. Jay says, will I need micro dosers to administer the Triton Mite elements to my tank? So you want a doser that can dose smaller amounts. You're probably going to be adding anywhere from 29 to like 31 milliliters of each bottle per day. So as long as the doser can go down to that size, it'll be all right. I'm using old school BRS 1-to-1 dosers. They dose 1 milliliter per minute. So my dosers run very slow. They run for 30 minutes every day, split twice a day, 1 bottle in the morning, 1 bottle in the evening. So, oh, hey, Demdala, thank you so much for becoming a Copepod supporter. Mike, I think I thanked you as well, but if not, thank you again. I really appreciate that, everyone. It means so much that you guys are willing to do that. And I'll tell you what, if I could get all 19,000 people signed up for the $1 tier, man, we could do some stuff. I'm really pleased with how this tank is coming together, despite right now with some of the corals being a little pissed and a little bit of bleaching going on because I need to dial these lights in a little bit better. I really like the way it's filling in. I've got some really cool corals. That's an Australian gold torch. And like this Anacropora, this dude's putting on like 10 millimeters a month. It's really growing. That's a smooth skin acro right there. It's just going to be a big ball of like teal green. Is that a cleaner wrasse? Yeah. Yeah, this little dude, he's super cool. He's super fast too. Yep. Pretty neat. Anyway, okay. We got another one. Nick joined as a Coral Beauty supporter. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Nick. Hang on 1 second. My phone is about to die. Demdala, I don't know which torch you were talking about. This is a blacklight torch. This one is, let me put this back on. So blacklight, Holy Grail. I think that's a New York Knicks. This is a dragon soul, and that one is an Australian gold. I'm sorry, everybody. I am at 5% battery left. So let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Does dosing help maintain the fish? No. Dosing does absolutely nothing at all for the fish. And Connie says our cleaner is named Tar Heel because we're from North Carolina. Oh, very cool. How do you keep them alive, the torches? Stay water parameters and nutrients in the correct area and correct par for those corals. But unfortunately, we are literally crossing the 3-hour mark right now, everybody. My voice is cooked and my battery is now at 2%. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Demdala, the Australian gold, www.terra, T-E-R-R-A, reef.com. That's where you can get one. Thank you all so much for joining us for the live stream. We do this every Sunday from 1 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we will see you at the next one. Have a good one. Boop.